I'm Hawaii Fivo. This is my partner in creative crime, Sean Toal, and we're going to share our experiences at the Junkie Roadshow so far. We've hosted Q&As to capacity crowds in colleges and community centres. There's been many emotional moments and some controversial ones, I'm sure you can remember. But let's first dig up the foundations behind why we made this film in the first place. So I'll ask you, what was the real reason you wanted to make this documentary?
So mine was probably more based in Hingy, Jordan. As you'll know, like more based for the kind of prison side. Like I seen a lot of stuff going on in the prison, and I seen statistics that I didn't really agree with. You know what I mean? And I kind of obviously met you, seen you in recovery, how you were flourishing, and other people like James and other people that I met that were in recovery who were flourishing. I've got a few good pals. My pal Ross is in recovery as well now, and everybody looked as if they were doing really well. Do you know what I mean? And I've always believed in recovery anyway. I've seen it working in the jail. Do you know what I mean? But I just probably wasn't as like, I didn't really know what it was. Do you know what I mean? Like it's certainly when you were in the prison system, when we were in, it was like there was painkillers and that didn't show up in drug tests and stuff. I don't think that's the case now, but there was stuff like that going about. So it was like you could probably kind of dodge things, and when you weren't feeling great, do you know what I mean? Like you could take these things to kind of kill the pain at times. Do you know what I mean? But I'd seen this was happening like very much across the board with everybody, and it was so the numbers weren't right. And then when me and you had done a couple of things, I was like, I wanted to do it, but probably didn't have the editing skill in that. Do you know what I mean? To do that, and I knew you had that kind of skill. And then when I think I kind of broached the subject to you, and you kind of said, "Look, I've already done something, and I kind of shelved it, so we could maybe bring that back out." And because I think originally we were going to do it with cocaine, weren't we?
Aye, because you went and wrote you went and done a lot of research on it, and I don't know what it was about it. It was like, because I was dead curious why Scotland gets such a bad relationship with the gear, but then it was something about that, and I was thinking, nah, I don't think this really does justice to the actual the problem at hand. Because of course, if you look at drug death statistics, it's not just cocaine; it's the contributor to them. Obviously, you get street bang, you get heroin, obviously methadone and that type thing is in it, and obviously being in recovery as well. I was like, no, wait a minute, I think we should do like a kind of an overcast in this, because it wasn't just so much how Scotland had such a bad relationship with drugs. It was like how it's so easy and widely socially accepted.
No, definitely, and I think a big part of that was like, so, I mean, we've done podcasts, but I mean, we've done a good few now together and all different topics, and probably every one of them we'll talk about the jail and all that, and no doubt people will be like, "Oh, I'll talk about the jail again." But it's like it's a big part of your life. I mean, for me, it was like 15 years, and it doesn't matter. I don't think anybody realises when you've been in the jail, it's hard to forget. But I think we've done a couple of podcasts on different things. Do you know what I mean? Like, but once you get talking, you kind of see that drugs are kind of a contributor and a kind of foundation in a lot of the topics that you speak about. Mm-hmm. And even if you're talking about going in nights out, or you're talking about going in here and you're going in there, that a lot of the time it's run about gear and all that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just lucky I don't like it. I don't like cocaine. Do you know what I mean? But because I don't know what I'd have been like. Do you know what I mean? It was certainly there and thereabouts. Do you know what I mean? When I was growing up and whatever. But it's one of these things where I think people need to know what's coming and the dangers that's coming. I did hear a good thing. I know I'm kind of going off track here, but I did hear a good thing that, well, I don't know if it's a good thing, but it was either Ted Cruz or one of the American politicians saying that they'd kind of done a deal with China, that they weren't allowed to do the fentanyl operations anymore for China. Like, so it's illegal now to have a factory like the super factories that make fentanyl.
Was it legal before?
Aye.
I didn't know that, huh?
Aye, so have you ever heard like Donald Trump saying like they're poisoning us all with like fentanyl in it, and the Chinese now?
So China it's came for?
Aye, so China, like, so see me, you and a couple of other boys, if we had enough money to set up a big super lab, we could have set up a big super lab, right? And made fentanyl or made nitazines and made whatever, like, I mean, obviously it would probably need to have like a medical purpose, the drug, a tizalam or whatever, do you know what I mean? But if as long as it had a medical purpose, we could set up that in China, and as long as we were exporting it, then it was fine. But you weren't allowed to sell it. You get death penalty in your own country
You
for
can't
it.
sell it in China, but you can sell it throughout the world. So
Aye.
that's crazy.
Aye. So that's where everything was coming from.
Right.
So I don't know. It could put a break in the system, or it could send the. I hope it doesn't, but it could send the ships elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? If they've done a deal with America, if they've done a deal with Europe, do you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, if they've done enough damage in America, and
I know. It never seems to fix the problem, doesn't it? No, saying like shut down your factories as such. Like if you look at like the jail problem, for instance, like they bring in like different measures. Obviously, they stop smoking and that type thing. You had the drug tests, and then that's when spice kind of ran rampant.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it seems to be any kind of measure they make just creates an even worse outcome.
Well, it could be terrible. I mean, obviously, I know every MD that kind of follows me will know I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist at heart, do you know what I mean? But I mean, the damage is done in America, do you know what I mean? It's the cartels have got their own labs now, they don't need the Chinese, do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know, if the boats start turning up in Europe, it wouldn't be good, would it? So I don't know, I'm not sure how it was going to work, but it could help us, because obviously, if they've done a deal with America, I'll need to actually look that up and see if they've done a deal with Europe to see if they can import it still into Europe. Do you know what I mean? Because it'll be interesting to see.
So see if they're importing into Europe, they're not importing it legally, are they?
Aye.
So if it's importing into Europe, where is it? Who's actually getting it?
No, it would be going to criminals. Aye,
So criminals are importing it to their cell. It's not going to like Europe, like using fentanyl in like certain hospitals as such.
So I read a book, right? It was in Castle Huntly. It was called Drug Incorporated or something. I can't remember who gave it. It was a big boy Scott for Pays, I think, gives it. And it was like a book. It was like a history of drugs. It's actually quite a good book, right? And it's like all about like fucking how LSD started and how like they were using big silos and that. But it also talks about how the CIA were involved in a lot of it, and it's a fucked up book, but it's really good. But they were talking about this guy, a super criminal, a Chinese guy. I'd never heard him. Like, obviously, you hear the kind of Sinaloa cartel or that kind of thing, but I'd never heard of this guy who they were talking about in the book. I did look him up, and he's like a pure super criminal guy, like fucking, but he's worth crazy money. And he was like the one that was importing it, and so I don't know if he was maybe importing it or exporting it to other different criminal groups. Do you know what I mean? Whatever, I don't know. I would imagine that's what he was doing. Do you know what I mean?
I imagine that's where the money's going to be.
Because I know the FBI and the CIA put him on he was on the most wanted list at one point. You know what I mean?
I feel like his name's in the tip of my tongue. I'm sure he might have been hiding out in Dubai. Was he like one of the, what did they call it? It's not the Y2K triad or something like that. They've got a mad number in their name. It's like some kind of.
I think so. Aye,
I
think
forgot
so.
that. See if you said his name or blah. Aye, but it's totally fled my mind.
I think so. I think he is like staying out, and I think he's Mauritius or something. It was somewhere like Dubai. It was like, I think he's got properties everywhere. The guy, you know what I mean? But I don't know nothing about him. I'm only just because I'm just recalling the book. You know what I mean? And I can't remember it like word for word. But I think going back to the kind of film, I think what we're gearing up for here is like Anne-Marie does say in the film, like you could get a cull of the kind of working class drug addicts, and even probably some people who don't even know they're going to be taking it, which I find that's probably where I find the kind of, because it's like there's no drug dealers only going to be selling you grams of coke, think there's fentanyl in it, right? That's no going to happen. It's not the drug dealers. It's not the drug dealers' fault, really. It's like it's getting into the chain's getting contaminated at some level. So once it's contaminated, you need to reevaluate what's the drug policies, what we're doing, and we've not done that. We've not caught up with the drug trends, I don't think. And I think that's maybe where the film does, because a lot of the time, especially when we had the young boys up in Dundee, remember, and they were kind of asking about what about the, you never really mentioned these drugs or something, remember? Like it was one of the boys, it was a young boy, and he asked a really good question.
Was that during the Q&A or was that when you were outside?
No, it was during the Q&A.
I can't remember.
I'm sure that I'm sure. I don't think we could. It says, "What is it? What's Scotland doing about the drug trends changing so much?" Because I think Ibiza's like this is only again me hearing wee snippets. Do you know what I mean? But I think Ibiza's full of like this mad pink cocaine stuff.
I know it is, because I've heard that people get it here, but they say, oh, it's not as good as you get it in Ibiza,
Right.
and it's like a mad Ibiza party drug. And they compare it. I don't know if you said it was like fucking CB2 or something that's in it, but it's meant. They say it's like.
I think it's crystal meth.
Is it really?
I think so. Honestly, I'm sure it's crystal meth mixed with CB2 or crystal meth mixed with ecstasy. Do you know what I mean? Once you're having a rant, I'll look it up. But I'm pretty sure it is crystal meth and something else. So I don't know if maybe over here they're maybe not using crystal meth, they're maybe using like, I don't know, speed or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Crystal
maybe
meth not made in. Well, you can make that in a house.
Aye.
So it probably just depends on whoever's making it.
And there is a rise in crystal meth in Scotland.
Big in the gay community.
Aye, you're right. Aye, doing Brighton and all that.
Tina.
Is it Tina? Aye, is that doing Brighton and all that? It's huge, isn't
Here?
it? Is it? Is it big here? Is
It's
it?
big in the gay community here.
Is it? I never knew that.
I know that from meeting like some people throughout recovery. It was.
Is that you telling us you used to go to Bennett's, isn't it?
I follow that crystal, man. But so see, when during the making of the documentary, at what stage did you realise we were on the right track? We were onto something.
Do you know what? It was like, I think it was, I mean, obviously, I just think the universe sent us in the right direction, mate, in the way that it was like, we had good contacts between us, do you know what I mean? So we were lucky to get some of the people we had on, and actually very lucky, because the guests, like, and on the film really helped make the film, do you know what I mean? They were a huge part of it, do you know what I mean? And having the bravery to speak out about it and stuff as well. But I think just even up to the end when we were looking for a politician, and then obviously I had managed to get my Ash Regan on the pot, and just it all kind of fell into place. So I think it was just like, I just think the universe kind of sent it, because we didn't really start. I mean, it was a budgetless film. Do you know what I mean? There was no budget. There was a lot of hard work in it. Well, mostly your editing, but there was a lot of hard work into it. Like, as in, like, just contacting, running about, doing a lot of kind of, do you know what I mean? Going into the studio to do double podcasts and fucking interviews, and do you know what I mean? It was a lot. There was a lot of stuff.
A lot
do you know
of
what I mean?
work in it, and people ask about budgets, and I hear people making films. They say this film was made in zero budget, as if in real. That's how we make films, mate.
I
Just
know,
pieced it
I know.
together, and it's for the attention it's got. Know what I mean? It's like, I'm not trying to blow or rain trumpets here, but I don't know many films that get that much traction that haven't really got any backing behind it. For me, it was, as you say, it all just kind of materialised for itself. Don't get me wrong. The editing was a long, arduous process, but obviously I kind of took the role with that. But when it came together, that was what kind of aim. It makes something powerful.
Definitely.
And I don't think we knew. Like, at the time we done the interviews, and everybody gave so much to it, and was sitting like, right, what do we use and what do we not use? Because you don't want to just take out the bits you want and then leave the rest, because there was so much gold in there. But I feel it managed to materialise together the story, and of course the Q&As as well. People sharing back, man. There's nobody that really comes that isn't affected by it in some way.
The Q&As are my favourite bit. Like, that's where I always get the kind of spark. I like the Q&A. I mean, obviously we've watched it that many times now. We can kind of sit in the back maybe, and you don't need to watch the film now, but I still love to watch it, and there's still that one bit in it that gets me, because obviously I know a few of the boys that were in it, and a few of the boys that had sadly passed away. I like that, but obviously even that, like meeting Sandra, like that was a big thing. Do you know what I mean? And then I mean, Tracy was a big part. Like, Tracy was an amazingly such a strong woman. But and then obviously it all kind of fell into place just the way we wanted. But it was hard for me to. But then Big Ryan dying, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, like there was a lot of stuff in it. Like there was a lot of heartbreak in it, and during it, obviously, I lost one of my best pals. Gary, obviously, rest in peace, Gary, and John around about the same time, and it was like, so. And then I mean, losing somebody to drugs and drink isn't big these days. Do you know what I mean? It's like happens quite often. Do you know what I mean? It's really sad, to be honest, but I think the Q&As make it alive. They bring the film alive. Do you know what I mean? For me, anyway, they bring the film alive, because you get different perspectives and different people's outlooks. Because I mean, there has some hard questions.
Oh, definitely.
Do you know
That's
what I
why
mean?
we open the floor, so it's like no a case of it's great for us singing for the same hymn sheet, but feel free to come in and if you disagree. Of course, we had that in Paisley, like, because we've done Dundee, Paisley, Cumbernauld and Cardonald. What would you say is the most memorable moment you've had for your audience Q&A?
I'm going to say the Addiewell thing the other day.
Right, okay.
I think I could have said more, and I never.
Right, okay.
There's reasons. I'm not going to go into it. There's reasons why I did, but I have emailed Kerry Ann, by the way, and I've not had an answer yet. But it's only been 5 days. But I have emailed her, so let's see if
What was the contents of the email?
I just kind of said, like, I know you'd kind of asked us to get in touch, like.
Oh, just like hello, how you
Aye,
doing?
how you doing?
Right,
Like, can I?
okay,
Because obviously Kerry Ann's claims of Addiewell being the most progressive prison in Scotland, Addiewell having the best recovery stuff in Scotland, is hard for me to believe. So, listen, the invite. She says we can go up and see it. I don't know how I'd feel about that. Do you know what I mean? But. And as I say, there was a lot of good officers in Addiewell, but if you take the reality of that place, it's like, and I think I did answer with that. It's as if it's some of Scotland's prisoners getting punished off a food company. Do you know what I mean? And that is the bottom line. It. So it's like, and I think what she's saying is either they have been progressive on employing somebody with lived experience. Do you know what I mean? I think you need to be careful there that you're no thinking about what's happened in your life and how progressive they've been with you.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and that's no a diss on MD, but I think you need to watch that.
I know, no, definitely. It becomes more about me than the cause, and you're like, aye, right. And it's like, it's one thing to say, oh, it's what people say, Berlin. They talk about it's progressive, and it is. See, with the resource hub, there's definitely progression in there. There's no progression in the halls, but these people don't go out of the halls. You need to actually be in the hall as a con, even a screw as well, to kind of see it first hand. You can't really see it for the resource hub or whatever they're going to Addiewell, the learning centre, or the education type things. It's like two different worlds.
It is, and I think you know yourself when just say they did invite people up and me and you went up, you wouldn't see the reality of the hall. You would get assessed at probably a selected amount of prisoners that would be selected from the hall who are maybe progressing or doing well in recovery, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, I do know that they've opened up recovery wings and stuff in Addiewell, so I mean these are good steps, but I'd need to go down and see it working. I'd need to go in and see it working. I'd need to believe it. I'd need to see it to believe it. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
So am I the best person to ask on that? Maybe no. Do you know what I mean? Maybe my biases are too strong, so maybe I'm not the best person to ask. But I'd say that's probably the most memorable. My favourite was probably Cumbernauld, just the opening one, because it was just like family and friend, and it was just amazing to see it on the big screen. Do you know what I mean? It was quite special for me, that one. What about yourself? What do you think?
I'd say probably maybe the first one when we done the friends and family screening, because that was the first time we sat down. Well, right, this is the first time anybody's actually got to see it apart from me and you.
I know.
Maybe one or two other people. But it was kind of like, I was like at the start, right, how is this going to go? Is this going to be terrible as such? And then once it started, I was like, alright, if it's shite, it's shite, fair dues. But no, get a great kind of round the applause at the end. Of course, saying that, I like that just for the actual, I wouldn't say that really comes into the Q&A, because no. For the Q&A really. No. But in terms of, I think we done the first Q&A with, was it James and Anne-Marie? And the first one was with Sarah Armstrong, and then the second one was with James and Anne-Marie. There's been a few standout moments when that guy was sharing back. I think it might have been the first one. He said his dad was a prison officer and he was an addict. the guy was an addict and his dad was a prison officer as such, and he was getting emotional. That really gets me when people start kind of breaking down. I'm like, off man, that's really kind of opened up something for somebody there. That's when it really gets me.
I know that was powerful, that moment. There's been a few moments like that. I mean, you can see, obviously, like when Davey's talking about the abuse and care law and that, you sometimes see people walking out, or maybe not walking out, but getting upset. And I often think, is that maybe because they know that face, Matt George or whatever, do you know what I mean?
Aye.
I don't know, but I mean, they tell people before it that it is quite a triggering film and it can trigger you, but I often think how that would feel if you did see that, do you know what I mean? And I know he got 16 years and he got hammered, and I hope he stays in there a long time, do you know what I mean? For what he done in ruining so many kids' lives, but it's like, how do you because it would be good to get some feedback on how that would make people feel. But again, you need to be very, very brave to, like, Davey's so brave. Davey's such a brave guy to come out and be able to do that. There's no many guys can do that.
Oh, no. So
if you're sitting in that audience and you maybe are triggered by something, especially guys, you're probably not going to hear that. Do you know what I mean? But the Q&A, I know there's been a few standout moments, and then obviously the harm reduction thing into that was in Paisley.
I know, that was another one I was going to mention. So obviously, of course, we had see this mic stand, man, it drives me fucking nuts. It's a piece of shit. So we had some controversial words of criticism. The Paisley screen by two harm reduction practitioners. What was your experience of that?
I can't listen. You can only go with what you're taught, right? And I don't think they've brought. I might be totally wrong, but I don't think they've lived an addiction, right? I don't know them. Seem nice enough lasses. Like, I don't have a problem with anybody in harm reduction. It's a massive part of the jigsaw for me. Like, it still needs to be there. That's not what we're saying. I didn't get the attack because I thought it was only. Listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I thought it was unfair that you would attack the film the way you do when we're all obviously just saying it should be a more balanced approach. I didn't really get. And then some of the things she was saying to you, obviously, you kind of blew it out the water by, like, some of the stuff she was saying we can't send people to see and stuff, and you were like, well, that's actually quite
worrying.
Worrying.
It's worrying, because I think if somebody that's got mental health issues as such, their own medication, they're like, oh, you can't go. And let's see as such, they're going to like that, right? That's closed after me, and these are meant to be the people that are professionals. I think, and listen, I don't know the lassie Kerry Ann, but I think with the likes of some people get triggered and then they make it about them. Like, I know we are doing a great job here, and it's like, well, it's not really about you. It's about, let's focus on the real problem at hand here. We're not saying use people are a shame on the earth as such. Let's see, the thing with, it was Berlini that kind of got slated, I'd say. And that was purely, obviously, the prison system plays a big part. The justice system gets brought into that too. Definitely. And then, of course, Berlini get mentioned quite a lot because it's the biggest distributor of methadone in the UK. But then people they kind of go, oh, well, wait a minute, I'm actually doing more than you give me credit for. Like, we're not accusing anybody here. They're just saying, listen, there's a massive problem here that needs to be spoken about. The harm reduction thing as well, it's like obviously the lassie, like, making a point to me to answer, then I'm answering and she's looking at her phone on WhatsApp, and I'm like, and then reading off a list of notes. I don't know. Listen, I take notes during seminars as such, but when you're taking notes, it's hard to pay attention, especially to a film. But I don't know, are you taking notes on your phone to ask questions at the end, or are you coming in prepared with that? I don't really know.
I mean, obviously, me and you kind of jockeyed on that back and forth about what we thought, and that I probably in the end up, I would say, probably a bit of both, maybe. Like, they were definitely there with some stuff that maybe, I don't know, it could have been colleagues, maybe they went out, we were going to see Junkie the night, is then you wanting us to ask getting, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, But there was definitely some pre-planned stuff there, but it looks like, do you know what I mean? That's only my opinion. I'll watching back the footage. But she wasn't really listening to her answer.
I know.
Which I didn't understand. Do you know what I mean? It was like, here you go, blah, 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 spout all this kind of venom out. No venom, but like spout all this kind of, you didn't do this, didn't do this, didn't do this. Slating harm reduction, blah, blah, blah. And then you answer it and they're like looking at their phone and texting or whatever.
I know it is. It's dead ignorant, and it kind of shows it's more about, rather than getting to the root cause of an answer, it's more about being on the defence. Like
Definitely.
being defensive, it's like, oh no, this is how I feel, but no, I'm not really interested in what you've got to say. They said as well, like, obviously, in terms of, what was it they said about, see the thing, what did they say? It was, see, post-care or whatever the fuck you call it, when you have to interview
aftercare.
Aftercare.
Aye.
So I done an interview for the BBC, that Berlin thing. 2 hours I was talking about being in the jail.
Aye.
I never get any aftercare for that. So it's like, wait a minute, so that they're probably one of the biggest broadcasters in the UK. I never get any aftercare for them. There was no mention. I've never had any aftercare for, apart from one like banged up when we were getting into the jail for 10 days, which I'd imagine like aftercare would be fucking, you know what I mean, a necessity. But it just feels as if, like, right, I felt they're just there to pick holes in it. That was my kind of perspective on it.
Listen, I think out of the whole journey we've had with Jordan, I think there's maybe been two people critique it, like that. So one other film director and those two, and they never actually said, they never had said it was bad. They said they enjoyed the film, says it was a great piece of work. I think they probably, if you're getting fed the narrative, and that's from the right for the top, and the political system that we live in is put all their money into harm reduction, and you're going to seminars and you're going to different things and you're getting told that harm reduction is working, it's saving lives, it's doing this. And I seen Natalie Logan actually posting something the other day on her thing, and it was saying, and I'd never really looked at it this way, but she was saying it's no saving a life, it's what was the word she used, it's like prolonging a life.
Right, okay.
Because if somebody is at that stage where they're starting to overdose, they're taking that amount of drugs, the chances are they're going to overdose again. Mm-hmm. So you're just prolonging that death then.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Rather than saving it. So it's not really I've never looked at it, but she's probably right. You probably shouldn't use that word, saving lives, because are you saving somebody's life?
No, definitely, because you made a good point, because they said, I think, was it Sweden, the reference to having the harm reduction, like they've got facilities out there.
Aye, or the Scandinavian.
There's a rehab across the road. That's why they're doing well.
I know. Well, that's and you go into Sweden and Norway and that, and you get offered rehab every time you use these places. Hunter Street, they're talking about stigma and no stigmatising people. Listen, anybody that's using that place is going to have felt up stigma at some point. There's no point in trying to, it's like when you come into the jail and they try and say to you, you're no prisoners, you're residents, you're like, fuck off for prisoners. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's nuts. So, like, to say that somebody, I'm totally against for like helping with the stigma, do you know what I mean? But the people you need to, we'll know the people you need to, and probably the people that have came to the thing, or the people that have kind of used the film to create an event or whatever, you're probably preaching anyway, because they're all anti-stigma anyway.
Aye.
But where I'll tell you where you see the real reality of what society thinks. Go and look at the Daily Record when you see like a drug death in the jail, or even like a drug death with a young lassie. You'll still get a lot of comments saying, fuck her, she shouldn't have took it and that, and you're like, really?
I know.
Really, man? Like, is that how low our society's got to? And I don't mean that, like, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I'm really strong on that. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But if your opinion is a fucking 18, 19-year-old lassie's dabbled with drugs and she's maybe, and you don't even know what's happening now, like the stuff they're taking, and she's died, and you're of the opinion that, well, it's your own fault. That's no the time to say that. There's probably a school of thought that you could probably make an argument of, if you take something, then it's up to you, and I would probably buy into that, certainly for myself. Like, if you gave me something, Jordan, and I passed away with it, I wouldn't want you getting blamed for it. Do you know what I mean? Because I would be wanting to take the blame myself. But a lot of the times this is the case, isn't this? Is what we're trying to point out. This is what we're trying to highlight. A lot of the times what you're taking isn't what you're buying. You think you're buying a gram of cocaine and you're no. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you think you're buying a gram of coke and it's got fent in it, then the chances you overdosing are high, because you might have a high tolerance for coke, but you're not going to have a high tolerance for opioids. Do you know what I mean?
It's I know, I do believe everybody's entitled to an opinion, but not everybody's entitled to hearing it or reading it.
Aye.
And you imagine at these kind of platforms, like, imagine if people couldn't comment, like how quickly a popularity it would go, because it gives people a sense of importance. And commenting something like that, you can have that thought, but why do you feel that extra need to? Because you probably read 100 articles a day and have thoughts on it, but we're not going to sit and voice it to the world. You can have internal monologue with yourself.
Definitely, I think so. Like, I used to dislike Joey Barton, right? I'll tell you why, right? I used to like Joey Barton because he was for the working class, right? And a lot of his posts and that, he's got like 2.5 million people on Twitter, and anybody that reads my Twitter's probably like, this guy's barking mad anyway, right? But anyway, I used to kind of write Joey Barton, give him a bit of a hard time, and he called me out one of the times on it. But anyway, I kind of says, I wrote my message and I said, look, blah, blah, whatever, between the two of us, right? And then I kind of seen, like, what had happened to him recently, right? With the hang it, and I had this talk with my missus, and I was like, do you genuinely think, what's your opinion on this? Because Joey Barton has said that lassie, Aluko or whatever her name is, right, only got the job because she was ticking the boxes, right? Now, you could perceive that as racist, you could perceive it as like whatever, like misogynistic, there's different ways you could perceive that, right? But the fact of the matter is, I'm not saying the lassie's not a good commentator. I honestly don't watch Match of the Day anymore. But the fact of the matter is, it was always three top players that usually everybody knew who were on Match of the Day. Do you know what I mean? It was always like, when I watched it was like Lineker, Shearer, like, it was always like big names that were on it. Ian Wright, people like that. So, is it ticking the box for equality? I would say probably, right? Now, that doesn't mean that the lassie shouldn't be there, or if she's just as good as anybody. But I think Joey Barton was right, was pointing out what he thought, right? Do I think he should be getting the jail for that or fined? No, right? Do I think he should be getting Jeremy Vine, who's one of the most horrible people you could meet, sitting on a channel, on his own programme, going out to Channel 4, slaughtering Joey Barton for that, calling him all these different names, bringing up charges, bringing up this, bringing up his past, bringing up this. Again, it doesn't matter if you like Joey Barton, he slaughtered him on national telly. So then Joey Barton writes something back about him being a nonce, right? Like, don't you see this guy on a bike, he's a nonce, right? Again, right, you shouldn't be calling people that when they're no annoyance, right? But he's got fucking 700 grand off him, and he's got... He's
that much he got off him?
700 grand, and he's looking at free stretch in the jail.
It's insanity. That is insanity.
To me, that's... So, there's places like... You see, if you go on Twitter, to me, it's a cesspit, right?
It is a cesspit.
So
it's fucking really bad.
It's all anything goes, right?
It's all negative energy. I never
totally.
go and sometimes you'll scroll by social media and see, that's a fucking lit Instagram horoscopes, a fucking nice positive message, something inspiring. I've never seen that in X once. It's all just, I go on X and you stay on X long enough, man, you become, you know even what name you become, but it's never anything good. No. I never go on X and go, I feel empowered. I go on it like, I need to stay off, it's too early in the morning for that stuff. And I'm like, is this the algorithm? Because I suppose algorithms push what people engage with.
Aye.
People are going to engage with something that's negative, that evokes some kind of negative emotion in them, because people bite. Or maybe somebody might write something and I go, I don't like what they've wrote. Let me look at the comments and see who else disagrees with them. And then you look at people, and people that can articulate a disagreement much better than I can. No, that's incorrect, but, and it's usually you'll get the people that are kind of like, they'll list the facts as such, and then you'll get the people, no, that's not right because you're this, you're that, and it becomes this tennis match in these comment sections, man, and it is so fucking poisonous. I don't know how you can sit all day.
I genuinely don't, honestly. I take wee notions, right, where do you know what? Probably a bad trait of mine. I probably use it for news, right? Because I don't like mainstream media. So I watch X a lot for the news, right? But I've got, obviously, again, what you're saying, the algorithm will pick up, and that doesn't mean I'll believe everything that I fucking read on X. I certainly don't. There's a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation on it. But there's a lot of really good factual stuff for me in it anyway, where you can see stuff that you wouldn't see in the like mainstream media, or you wouldn't even hear. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you can, a lot of really good commentators on there. Do you know what I mean? That are speaking fact and speaking about like a lot of stuff. And then you've got a lot of kind of, it is just mental, right? It is a mad platform, but I get fucking shadow banned off it. I was shadow banned off it, and I'm like,
trolling cunts.
I don't think I was trolling people. So do you know, if you, I swear to God, I'll show you.
How do you know you're shadow banned?
Because the thing he told me, the grok.
Can that tell you you're shadow banned?
Aye, so and I thought I'll try and find it, right, but obviously I had the it basically says I was shadow banned because of my political views, right, and saying that like we're getting played on the left and right, or that piss, right, all that stuff, right, and saying that it didn't go with the algorithm or the core algorithm at X, that my posts. So basically you would need to be directly following me, or like it wouldn't go in the algorithm, it wouldn't get played out. You'd need to be following me, or you would need to look for my posts.
Right, so see if it's not following the core algorithm. So what is the core algorithm in your opinion?
That's another whole podcast, isn't it? To me, I mean, I don't know. It's a big question. I think the core algorithm probably favours probably far left or far right kind of.
So a lot of the kind of extreme opinions.
And I think it polarises people. Do you know what I mean? And it allows a gap for people to push certain policies through or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, if can you imagine, like, even 20? Imagine when you were 18, 19 and having a platform like X, right? And like, who was it? Like, who? Like, I don't know, Tony Blair and that was it back then? Like, I don't know.
When was this?
Like,
when I was 18, so I probably
like Blair and that, like 2000. Like, so I mean, imagine Tony Blair. Can you think about like Tony Blair and all that, and John Major and people like that on fucking Twitter, like pure arguing on, do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, it doesn't really rank, because there was as much as I hate Tony Blair, he's like, I've got my terrible views on Tony Blair, right? But you wouldn't see him sitting arguing on a platform, like, do you know what I mean? There was a bit of professionalism about politics back then. There was a bit of I don't know if that was mainstream media that done
I
that.
think there was a barrier. There was a barrier of accessibility, especially like fame and that type thing, because, like, for instance, it was like you had to, there was almost like this kind of security check, like to go to a politician to get their point of view, it'd either be a spokesperson, and then it'd be a media appearance as such, it'd be the paper, it would almost be diluted and translated for you. Whereas now they can literally, you can get it for the source. No saying there's no somebody that's operating these accounts for them as such, but there's like direct access almost. What they write is what you get. Type thing. And of course it's like famous people too. There's some people that you had fame like class as one definition years ago. I seen so and so, and you're like, I seen him with her, and it just becomes that thing because you see them every fucking day.
I know.
And interact with you. Lives. Interact with you. Like a Joey Barton. You only seen Joey Barton if he was on telly. I remember when I last seen him, he was a manager. He was scrapping me cunts in a tunnel, so it was like the telly and the papers. You know what I mean? But now it's like you see him every day. He's commenting stuff. He's doing podcasts. Know what I mean? So you're seeing these people a lot more.
They become real, don't they? It's like they become.
If you give some, what is it? I don't know if it's a saying I'm borrowing it off of, but if you give somebody, like, give them enough rope, they'll eventually hang themselves.
And I believe that to a certain extent as well. I think there is a lot of truth in that. I think there's a lot of truth in that, but I think I think there's, to me, I know I see offensive posts, right, on Twitter. Now, I'm no really easily offended, right, when it comes to like trolling and all that shit. It doesn't bother me, right. I don't really read the comments on most of my stuff, to be honest, right? Especially like TikTok and Twitter and that. Like, I'll maybe maybe more with Facebook and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But I think there's a lot of toxicity around these platforms. Do you know what I mean? So I just kind of try and use it to kind of push I hope some positive stuff or informative stuff, which I believe's happening in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like with my views and stuff. But I think you're right. I think like when you look at these kind of things and they're shadow banning small accounts. I mean, I've only got 2,000 people following me or something on X, and if you're shadow banning that for what to me you would say for what reason? Do you know what I mean? And I actually asked, so like it said, like all your posts are factual. Sean Toal's posts are all factual. They're well researched. Do you know what I mean? Like it did say all that on it. I'll show you.
Do you think, but like it could mistake the kind of stuff you write for trolling? Not saying you are a troll, but you're always calling people out.
Certain
not saying
people,
you're always, but every time I see you pop up, it's because somebody's posted something and you're saying, "What about this?" It's like kind of. There's the same names that pop up every time. I'm not going to say them.
I know that. I know. And listen, I probably, and I think it's because so many people are buying into an ideology, and now I've always kind of said I'm a moderate socialist, right? And I would challenge most working class people to say they aren't.
I don't even know what that is.
Right? Do you know what I'm going to do? Right? I'll type it in, right? And I'll use Grok, right? Because that's like Elon's N1, right? So I'll use Grok and I'll just say, I'll just write in define a moderate socialist, right? Now, I find it hard for anybody to believe that they're not a moderate socialist, right?
Right, okay.
If you're working class, I mean. So you take this and you tell me what you think's wrong with this, right? You tell me what you think. Now, if you write in a moderate conservative, right? There's probably similarities that you would take out of that as well.
So see if you're sorry to interrupt. So see if you're saying you're a moderate end. So what is like what does moderate? I know what moderate means, but in a political sense, what does moderate mean?
So
like you're kind of in the middle.
You're swinging to the left just. So like if you've got the kind of centralism, which is like whatever, I don't know, it's like a merge between right and left.
Aye.
I would swing a wee bit more to the left, like saying, but I think we need a wee bit more welfare into the working class, and I think the working class need a wee bit more like more equality with the money and stuff. I don't think people should have the vast amounts of money they've got. That doesn't mean, but I don't think people should be wealthy and be allowed to go and live lavish lifestyles. I do believe that. But so this is a moderate socialist. A moderate socialist is an individual who advocates for socialist principles such as greater economic equality, robust public welfare programs, progressive taxation, and limited public ownership of key industries or resources, but pursues these goals through gradual democratic reforms rather than revolutionary upheaval or full-scale nationalisation of the economy. This approach is often synonymous with democratic socialism or social democracy, emphasising a mixed economy where private enterprise coexists with strong government intervention to address inequality. Prominent examples include figures like Bernie Sanders, who I don't think is anyway, right? But policies in Nordic countries like Sweden's welfare state, which blend capitalist markets with extensive social safety nets. In contrast to more radical socialists, moderate socialists typically reject authoritarianism and prioritise electoral politics over class struggle or expropriation. So, I don't know. Expropriation, don't know what that is. But I know, but to me,
call this a Grokcast. Sorry.
If you could say, like, what's wrong with that?
What?
That definition. Do you know what I mean?
No, I would definitely say that stuff. I'd be aligned with if I was to align myself with it.
And so when you push yourself into any extremes, any of these things, I think. When you go to certainly when you're left wing and you're extreme left who are like liberal, let everybody in and like everybody's equal and like rights for everybody and but then you push that into the mad stuff that they start talking about in schools, like having like transgenderism at school for Waynes and all that, right? That's where it goes to when you go far, because you're starting to then say that you can identify as a shark and all that at school and a cat. So it's like, that's mental, right? But then you right wing, like extreme right wing, is seen as right wing, like fascism and nationalism and that pure cultural thing, and which is all important, but it's no more important than the struggles of the working class for me. The struggle of the working class people is the most important thing for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be seen. We're in 2025 where there's guys on Elon Musk wants £1 trillion for Tesla, while there's still Wayne's eating out of food banks. To me, that it just shouldn't happen. But again, listen, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Probably looks like attack like the right wing figures. Do you know what I mean? Like more, but I don't even do that because there's certain people who are fucking paid. They're getting fucking paid to write what they're getting told to write. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's just it's blatant to me. Do you know what I mean? But again, that's totally different from what we're talking about. But to answer that, I don't even know what question I'm answering now. But
was that why did you get shadow banned?
Why did I get shadow banned? Do you know what? I'll look it up and you can put it on, right? You can actually put it on where it says, right?
No, it's just one of the things. It's like, it's probably for the best you're getting shadow banned. Saying that, like, you're probably like, no saying you, but it's like that means you're less likely to engage with it because it's heat frying. It is heat frying.
It is.
If we go back to like, the documentary, Stephen, during production, what was the most shocking thing you discovered?
When we were in production.
So that was the creation of it, for the idea for it actually getting made into the film.
Probably the Berlin thing, like being the biggest distributor of methadone in Europe.
Do you know the first person I heard say that? Paul Ferris on James Inglis's podcast, and I was like, really? That's quite a statistic. It catches a lot of people.
Aye, was it Paul that said that? Was it? So Paul's a hang of knowledge, but I mean he really is like. But again, it's one of these things where how can you call yourself? Because I would say Berlin's got some of the most progressive ideas in Scotland. I'd probably the most progressive ideas in Scotland. That's my opinion. But then on the back of that, look what's happening in the halls.
I know. Ain't but progressive.
So it's like a paradox.
That's regressive.
Do you know what I mean? So you've got one side, it's like paradoxical. You've got one side, and then you've got this other side. It's fucked up. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how can you have those two living together? I
know. See, if you were to put somebody in Berlin, like the halls, do you think they would come out better or worse?
Worse.
Definitely.
Worse, definitely. The place, like, I mean, it's the same as Adderall. I don't care what anybody says. You put somebody in there for 3 months, they're not going to come out a better person. And this is what I try and explain to people. People will always have a dig at you for saying it, but if you want to make the prison system a better prison, and or I'll reword that. If you want prisoners to come out in a better mindset and probably with more chance of integrating successfully into society, I think that if you want that punitive approach and you want that kind of I don't know, like the harsh punishment that comes along with that, because now what you're starting to see is some of the people on the right asking for the death penalty and stuff like that to come back, and like capital punishment. And listen, there's far too many, and I'm not even like talking about my own case, but like there's so many miscarriage of justice that have actually been like Patrick Maguire's and Paddy Hill. So many. I mean, Joe Steele. So many that you could go and talk about that would have been hung for these things that they did in the day. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And with massive government influence in it, like governments that knew they never done it. So you're talking about a bunch of people who are very untrustworthy at the best of times, the power to capitally punish you.
I know.
I don't know why you would want to do that. Do you know what I mean?
I know, there's a reason they get banished, you know what I mean? And it's like, I say to people all the time, they're saying, that they should make like jail sentences longer, they should make it harder, get them breathing water, and you're like, they used to hang people,
I know.
and people still reoffended. I don't know any kind of like more, like, worse punishment than killing somebody.
I know.
You know what I mean? That wasn't enough to stop people, but people have got a pure short-term memory when it
I
comes
think
to
we
these
have
things.
got, so see you take China, right, which has got a tiny crime rate, right?
Right.
They're very, very conformative people, but
Aye.
the government was a communist government for a long, long time. It was a harsh regime, and I think Chairman Mao killed way more than Hitler. Like, I think you're talking about like 70 million people or something.
Really,
Right?
eh?
He killed. It's crazy. Like, it's like a figure that's so much higher than anybody else. So when you're talking about somebody who's done that and brought that kind of fear into that community, that's why you've got such a small crime rate. It's no anything to do with if you want the liberal kind of rights that you've got and the democratic voting system and the right to go, the right to the end, the right to like have your human rights, the right to go and thing, to have freedom as such. I think that you really need to be careful about what you wish on people, because what comes along with that is, I don't know. I mean, why would you? To me, I don't understand why you would want somebody coming out like a time bomb.
I know.
When you could have somebody coming out that's went through a rehabilitative system that's going to make them a kind of good foundational part of society.
I think it all goes back to politics, as we were just talking about, because as
I know.
Rafe says, it's not a vote winner.
No.
Say you want to rehabilitate people and you want to change the infrastructure of the prison system, that's not popular. And a lot of these people that come for these backgrounds, like obviously a lot of politicians are crooks, but they don't come from communities where your dad's in a jail or your uncle's in a jail. Very few. Like, you'll grow up around people, they'll go to Pullman, they'll go to bar, whatever, so you're kind of grow up, you know these people, you know the stories of the people before the label is attached to them, so you kind of see that humanity behind it, and also the kind of, we were talking about this the other day, like why people go to jail for certain crimes. So I'm not saying crimes justified, but some crimes you can go, right, I can see how somebody ended up there. You know what I mean? And I say that as well. If the most placid, laid back person in the world, if you put them in the right or wrong situation, I think everybody's got some crime in them to a certain degree.
1,000,000%. And I think there's a reason. Listen, there's a reason when you speak to families, right? You speak to families who have got loved ones in prison. A lot of families will tell you, "I never knew it was like this. I never knew how hard it was. I never knew it was as bad as this," because it becomes real to you then. Mm-hmm. When you're commenting on Daily Record and all these things, and you're commenting on like serious shit that can get people into a lot of trouble. Like, there's a lot of stuff going about the new, and it's like glamorizing, not even glamorizing, but just like highlighting stuff and making things worse. And then you're wanting people to comment on this shit to just get, do you know what I mean? To stay relevant. And you're like, is this really, like, is that, what kind of media is that? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's going to do that? Like, that's flinging fucking petrol and stuff.
I know.
And I don't, but if you read the comments, that's unfortunately what society thinks.
People bite to it, and there is an interest in it as well, because I think it's that people have always got an interest in the unknown, especially when it's jail. These certain stories, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You do get people commenting like, "Right, come on to fuck, you're just milking this." But they're few. They're like the 10% of comments. Most people are like, they should be fucking lock them up, throw away the key, or this type stuff. And it's all outsiders, people that are strangers to that way of life. And listen, it's not a bad thing being a stranger to the way of life of a criminal or a prison. You know what I mean?
It's a luxury.
Definitely.
And as would I rather go back? See if you could take me and put me in the bubble. And I know my head's fucking right into other stuff, right? And I know it's no good for my mental health at times, but if you could take me back to the wee bubble that I was in when I was like 18, 19, I probably would go back there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like knowing the things that I know.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't like knowing like the stuff and whether I'm right or wrong. It's still some of this stuff goes on. Do you know what I mean? And the biggest things that you need to just look out for in these kind of things is why the fuck is nobody been done for the Epstein thing and all that, right?
I know.
And this is because there's a class thing, right? So you're talking about working class people that want to put their trust in these billionaires and put their trust in Donald Trump, for example, who is clearly all out of these files. Elon Musk tweeted it. Do you know what I mean? Because it fell out. He fucking tweeted it.
Emails not come out as well. Have you seen that lately?
I seen that. I've still to kind of look into it, but I've looked into a wee bit. And listen, this is just for me. It's just theatre, right? And it's going to. There's no doubt that he was on the plate, but it'll only come out if it's going to benefit what they want, to benefit the narrative. In my opinion, right? But it's like, why would you? What is the difference between? See, like, take Prince Andrew, who is basically, we all know, is what he is, right? Why is he not in the jail?
No.
Like, why? Because he's class.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's it.
Because I remember, like, I'm sure the FBI basically fucking, I don't know if it was a citation or whatever they call it, a subpoenaed them, and they just ignored it.
I've never heard the FBI dropping a subpoena in my life.
No, they just ignored it, just stayed in his house in Buckingham Palace, and of course I think the Queen took him off his royal duties. But because people are saying, Prince Charles has stripped him and all that, but Prince Charles returned him back to royal duties the minute he became king.
I know.
And now, whatever reason that I think.
Well, it was because these emails were all going to come out, and it was funny timing, wasn't it? 2 weeks prior to these emails coming out, and Prince Andrew's all these emails, he gets stripped.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? That's not a coincidence to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's people who know what's going to come out.
To see what's coming.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but my whole point is we've got these people, and even if like you're talking like the people don't like anybody, like take George Soros on the left, take fucking whoever on the right, I don't know, billionaires on the right, whatever. They're funding these. They're clear. It's not. Doesn't take a lot of research work to see that they're funding and stoking the fire on both sides. Now, see if you get caught doing that and it was causing people to get killed in the street and that, you would get killed. You would either get killed after the people that you were doing it to, or you would go to jail for a long time. Do you know what I mean? If you were like, I mean, you can get done down in England for going out with somebody who commits a crime and under joint enterprise, but it's a working class law. It doesn't apply to the thingy. They're not going to do 3 or 4 or 5 billionaires who create a hedge fund and siphon all sorts of money and put it into the Cayman Islands. They're not going to go, we're going to charge you with joint enterprise, but it doesn't happen as a class thing. And I think that's where the film touches into as well. We touch into that because the classes, the working class are getting shafted, and they're just, listen, cost of living's up, there's the life's miserable now for a lot of people, and they want a way out. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of kind of stuff in the media, there's a lot of fear mongering, there's a lot of kind of scary stories, and they're real stories that are happening to people, but they're getting stoked, and it's a class thing. Do you know what I mean? And I think Ash Regan's right about that. I think Ash Regan's right about that in the film. I think Sarah's right about that in the film. You don't get these things happening in your better areas. Do you know what I mean? And in history, as history's shown, if you're at a different class, I mean, look at that fucking creep Hugh Edwards. He got the judge basically asked people to go, look, he's had a hard time in that, can you go a wee bit lenient on him? And you're like, what?
Madness.
Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine going to court, like anybody going to court and going, anybody that knows been in the jail, right? Or anybody that's been in the jail, and I mean this on both sides, I mean, because it's mental, right? Anybody that would go to their lawyer, just before sentencing, right? Can I go on holiday as well, right? I don't know anybody that would get to go on holiday just before sentencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine going like, Rita Ray, listen, my client's actually, can you delay the verdict because my client's going on holiday?
You'd get fucking remanded for it.
You
I think as well. You ever seen like before people on tags and the judge would give them a week after tag to go on holiday, and then it was all the papers would be slating it.
Aye.
And it's like this is a shocking fucking display of justice.
Aye, and that was for small crimes. And then you've got these mad fucking people like Hugh Edwards, and I don't know. To me, I don't understand how that doesn't bring the working class together more. Do you know what I mean? And then that's where we kind of touch on the kind of, is there a loss of sense of community? Is that if we lost that sense of community? I probably think we have. I probably think there's a lot of older people would probably like to go back to the older ways of, like when the community's kind of, because you speak to even guys who stayed in like some of the rough areas like Rickazy, but like Postal, Springburn, like wherever, horrid schemes, you know, Govan, wherever. But there was still a sense of community.
Aye, definitely. It's disappeared. I think social media plays a part in that as well, because now I think a lot is we kind of live out our lives on that, and that's, as you say, you referenced earlier, there is a lot of division cast, and it's intentional.
I agree with you 1,000%. I think it's intentional, and I think we'll see the fruits of the labour won't be far away, I don't think, but and I always say it, I genuinely hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I am the fucking head case that some people say I am, so I'm happy to say that. Do you know what I mean? I genuinely hope I'm wrong on my opinions, but I would say that a lot of the stuff that, if you go back to even, I was looking at some of my posts, something that comes up, some of your posts for like 2023 and that, and some of the stuff that I was saying in 2000 is came now. Do you know what I mean? And it's no, like, I'm not saying I'm a mad fucking, I know everything, because I certainly don't. I've got loads of things wrong, like loads of things in my, like, and especially with that stuff, I've got loads of things wrong where I think, all right, something's going to happen and it doesn't. But I think we're all just taking educated guesses at this moment. But what you can say the news is that Keir Starmer is the most hated Prime Minister ever, right?
You think so?
Well, the polls say that,
right?
Okay. And the stats say that, right? He's the most hated Prime Minister ever, right? So nobody likes him, right? Nobody in the Labour, nobody in the left, nobody in the right. What he is a shit hot lawyer, right? And he's put a lot of strong laws in place. Then you've got next coming in is probably going to be Farage, right? And then if he deregulates AI, then you've got a different ballgame, because if you deregulate AI, and that's one of his top manifesto points, is deregulating AI. If you deregulate AI on top of a surveillance country, then, like, you could probably say goodbye to most things. Do you know what I mean? You're looking at kind of thingy, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand why the working class don't see it more. I'll ask you this: do you think? Cause I often think. Do you think some working class people don't see themselves as working class anyway?
I mean, what would they see themselves as?
Middle class, maybe.
I don't. What defines somebody as middle class though? Because for me, it's like, I went to it was a documentary screening, and Peter Mullen was talking there. And we're talking, he was making a point about classes like that, right? He's like that. For me, he's like that. I'm definitely, you would class me as having a middle class wage. I stay in a middle class area. I grew up with my mum and dad. My dad died, so there wasn't a lot of money in the house. I always see myself as working class, but if you strip it all back, you'd probably define me as middle class. So it's like, at which stage does somebody become middle class? Say if I move into like a nicer area, am I suddenly middle class? Even though if my roots are still working class, if my opinions are still working class, but the area I stay in and my wage bracket, what actually I feel like it's an easy term to use. I think it's easier to class somebody as working class, because for me, working class is you're working 9 to 5, you're working in a certain type of job,
Paycheck
you're
to
staying
paycheck.
a paycheck to paycheck in a certain type of area. Then it's like, and then if we say it's upper class, is like the kind of, would we use upper class, or would you say further at the top kind of level?
Elites.
It's easy for me to go elite But I think middle class is a lot broader. I think working class, because working class would probably fall into poverty as well. If you're working class, definitely. If you're poor, if you're in addiction, you're not your own benefits, you're still working class, aren't you?
Aye.
So I think working class and elite are a lot narrower than middle class. I think middle class is broad.
I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about? So it's a hard thing to kind of say.
There is brackets that you can kind of put it in. Like, there is brackets, do you know what I mean? Because there's probably, like, the elites are probably different. For, like, because there used to be aristocracy and things like that. I don't know if that's still there. I mean, there will be down in England somewhere. But middle class to me would be somebody that's, if a working class person moving out a middle class mindset would be when they start, that working class person starts having the views of we don't need the NHS, we don't need the welfare system, people on benefits are multing the system.
Do you think they're political views?
Oh, aye. Oh, no, I think a political view is probably where your class would come into it. Aye. Yeah. I think that would define you. I think that's what would define your outlook on life. I mean, you could probably think you're middle class. That's what I mean. I think there's a lot of working class people think they're middle class now, but they're not, because they maybe have a half decent salary. They drive a Mercedes. They drive a BM. Aye. They've got like stuff that would probably have been middle class when they were younger. Do you know what I mean? Would have been classed as being middle class. So I think they've done a good job of that as well as dividing us there, because I think anybody should remember, like that's working class, you're only one paycheck away from being on benefits.
I know.
And with AI coming in, like, and it's no like fantasy now. You're talking like America just done away with, I'm sure Amazon just done away with 968,000 jobs in America. It's nearly 1 million jobs, 147,000 or something here. So the AI can replace it. Do you know what I mean? And AI is in to replace stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Because so we talk about it in like college as such, AI, you know, that type thing, and people go, no, I don't know how I feel about it, or I wouldn't want to use it, and I get that, but it's like, you've not really got a choice. It's no people aren't asking your permission to bring AI into the world. AI's coming in. I always say, I can make that comparison, it's like the horse and cart before the car came. Like, when's the last time you've seen somebody in a horse and cart? Whereas that was a mode of transport at one point, same with planes. It's taken over. We're just in that transition phase where people, like, there's people that are informed about it, people have got experience using it, and people that haven't. But I think in the next 10, 15, 20 years, it'll be an everyday part. Oh, it kind of is with your social media and like your phone as such. But because I was saying a little Google. How many times do you Google something a day? You know what I mean? But
so I don't Google now. I grok things now, which is probably if it's factual. I don't ask opinion AI.
So see pre-AI, like if you'd have used Google probably as a search engine.
It was like
what did we use before Google? Probably done it manually. Probably maybe went into libraries. We've done our own research. Aye. But then Google's come in, and it's like, have you ever heard any question? Obviously, they'll question the credibility and integrity of it, but have you ever actually what you doing using Google to search for something? It's like, definitely. Of course, that is the number one thing. Google it. How many times somebody says Google it?
Aye.
Or maybe they'll go, no, AI it.
Aye.
You know what I'm talking about? So it's starting to become that easy kind of reaching. It's hard. I've kind of a creative sense. I use AI to help generate questions for a podcast, because I'm not going to become a professional fucking questioner. I don't give a fuck. But creatively, I've started using it less and less, because it was, and listen, the stuff is just regurgitated stuff of an input system. All the information's been put in by another human, so all it's second hand essentially, and it just kind of recycles that. Of course, that will improve in time, but it's learning like your kind of human characteristics and creativity. It's like a muscle, man. If you're handing it over to AI, you're no exercising that muscle. So I've started kind of retracting for it, but it plays an everyday part of my life. Make invoices. Do you know about apps? Like you want to make an invoice, apps charge you. AI, I just pay AI and it does it for me.
I know.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right. It does. Like ChatGPT, like even just the basic version is an incredible tool. You know what I mean? But I think, I mean, it's like, obviously going back to the kind of film, right? I think class is probably one of the big things, and I think we spoke a lot there about class, right? And I think you just need to remember what you really want for society. Where do you really want your money going? Where do you really want? Where would you like to see people improving, because what you're going to get is more, right, of if we keep going the way we're going to, and we keep trusting these billionaires and stuff like that, and we keep trusting the people that are in power, we're going to get more private prisons, you're going to get private courts, you're going to get private healthcare, you're going to be forced into these things, right? So everything becomes privatised, right? Now that's fine if you've got the money for that, that's fine. A lot of people sitting on X have got fucking millions of pounds put away, so they can sit and go, I don't want to be paying taxes, I don't want to be doing this, I shouldn't be paying that, and I shouldn't be in that tax bracket. I understand that, but with your wealth becomes there's a responsibility. And I know people say, nah, that's not right, but if you've got billions of pounds in your account and you've got enough to kind of maybe put a dent in a country's, if you put all your money, a dent in the whole fucking global market, then you're a threat. Do you know what I mean? You're a threat to everybody.
So you talk about the likes of Amazon, like, cause do you know that argument people say, like, because they pay very low corporation tax, and people say we should increase the tax on them, and you bring a lot more money into the economy, and you get these people go, well, they'll just pull their business out, which is a lot of shite. No business is going to shoot themselves in the foot just because they're getting taxed more. But I think
like, see, people have that argument, right? And I've had that argument with people before. But see, if that was the case, they would have invested all the money. They'd have helped. People are saying, "Oh, bring their business and all that." Look at Ireland. Ireland's a tax haven. Look at Nick. It's no. Does it work like that? Do you know what I mean? It works in places like Dubai and that, because they don't allow the way their laws are, and then that's you looking at Islamic laws. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's no. You're not getting in there with X amount of money. You need leverage. You need. You know what I mean? That's the only way you're getting citizenship in these places, is if you can show that you've got money. It's all about wealth. It's not about like what can you bring to the community. What can you offer to the community? Like, Dubai will fucking take anybody as long as you've got the wealth behind you. Do you know what I mean? Is that what you want?
No, I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, we can see that. To me, the beauty and the magic is in watching ex-cons become pillars of the community, working class people becoming millionaires and reinvesting in the community. Do you know what I mean? Like guys going out that finish work and go out and run young boys football teams. That's community. That's like we're these people. There's no, you're no. Some of the people that we're putting our faith in wouldn't. They don't do anything for if there's no money involved. Do you know what I mean? Money or fame. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, power, whatever it is they're chasing. But it's certainly for the benefit of humanity. And I think that's what we need to see. Do you want to see people in prison having a chance when they come out? People that have had, as James Docherty says in the film, brutalised in childhood. Do you want to see them coming out and having a chance? Or do you want to see them come out like a cannonball?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? What is it you want? Because you can't have both. And if you want both, I don't know how you do that. I can tell you how to do one or two. If you want to keep it going, keep the punitive system in. If you want to see people flourish, rehabilitate it. And I go back to it all the time. Look at the special unit. The special unit took 40 of the worst prisoners in Scotland. 37 of them never reoffended. Now, see if you could give that stats in any prison, you'd be signed up in a minute. Do you know what I mean? So what is it that's stopping them from doing it? Why are they no allowing these things to flourish?
Aye, I think it's the attitudes, and I think people are very uneducated. If we go back to obviously a different subject, you look at the harm reduction lasses, and you think like their opinion is based in their education, and essentially that's all. But we don't know what we don't know.
Of course,
and that is what ignorance,
definitely.
The absence of knowledge. So the thing is, people build these ideas based on the knowledge they have. But for instance, if you go, because it's all down to the public really, they need to vote these people in. If somebody's championing a reform, they need to be voted in, so they need to convince the public they're the right person for the job, and by convincing the public by selling this dream, they need to be like, and this is the dream I'm selling, and they need to buy into that. They need to sell that in a certain way where they buy into it, go like that, right? Because most people, anybody that votes, they're voting because they think it's going to benefit the country. No saying that every politician up there is going to benefit the country, but in the voter's mind, this is the best thing for the country. So everybody's got that thing. Don't get me wrong, it's very wide and diverse, their opinions, but that's their sole intention, right? But the thing is, if you look at the people who are championing reform in prison as such, vast majority of them are people that have either been in jail or they're related to somebody that's been in jail. Know what I mean? Who do you know has been in jail goes like that? No, it should just stay the way it is, or it should get worse. I don't think anybody. I think everybody thinks it could be made better.
Aye.
And they don't agree, and they don't think it's jail could be benefited by it becoming worse. I don't think they think it can get any worse.
No, and if I know it, and the only way that you're, I don't know, it's a massive question, and it goes back to like the gap, and one of the things that I do point out is the gap between statutory services and the kind of the third sector services.
Aye.
That missing part for trauma, because obviously trauma like is a buzzword now, and it's one of these things. Somebody actually wrote on one of my comments, if Sean Toal talks about trauma again, I'm getting traumatised about him talking about trauma. But it's a huge thing, and I can only say the people I work with, right, on a daily basis, most have faced childhood trauma, right? And I'm not, when I say childhood trauma, I mean like real, like sexual abuse, neglect, physical abuse, horrible things that many people would probably not like read 2 sentences and go, I can't read any more of that, right? So that's the reality, but the reality is that is what happened. Whether you want to take it in and have it and be in your bubble, that's fine. Like that's fine. But the reality is it happened, and it's there, and it's still happening, and we've got nowhere to send these people. To me, that's a massive stain on any society, that you are willing to, I don't know, like overlook these people, and no have somewhere, and no have the money that you're on. And somebody might come and go, listen, my granny's doing a home down there, and they do fuck all, and it's terrible care. Listen, I'm a socialist. I believe in these places should be better. I believe in these places. I would fucking take money off every one of the billionaires, and I would make your granny's fucking hang a palace, and I would make your dad's fucking healthcare the best healthcare. So there's enough money to go about. This is the thing that we get lied to and told. Oh, there's enough money for the whole world to flourish. And if you want humanity to flourish, then you need to. I believe you need to kind of call out the people that are holding it. Do you know what I mean? That are holding that wealth. Because if you don't, then and we allow them to do that, then why would they know? Do you know what I mean?
So see, going back to the making of this film, obviously talk about trauma and that, was there any parts of the film that kind of brought back all demons for the past?
For myself,
aye,
definitely. Obviously, like the I was in prison for something I never done, and hopefully, like next year, I'll be able to kind of do something where I can get my side of the story out. But certainly I believe that a lot of the stuff and the way I took drugs and stuff like that was to kind of hide the pain of that. Do you know what I mean? And mask the pain of that kind of and it was because it was all painkillers I took. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of them was after the doctor that I was getting after the doctor. Do you know what I mean? But it was painkillers I always chased. It was like tramadol and cocodamol and stuff like that that killed the pain. And I've got slip discs in my back. Do you know what I mean? So I was always able to kind of use that to hingy. But that aside, it showed me that it does help with the physical pain. And some people out there need painkillers. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, they're in that much pain that they need painkillers. But there is an awful lot of people as well that are taking them to kill the emotional pain, because I know it kills the both of them. So I'm a prime candidate to know that. Do you know what I mean? And looking back at the just some of the stuff when we were talking about, like, I don't know, it probably showed me where I could have went very easily. I think I could have went. I mean, you probably get that and all. Like, you see like old Davey and that, and I could have easily done that.
Oh, definitely.
Easily,
I say that to myself. I never got into recovery. I'd have probably ended up in the crack.
Do you know
Because
what I
that's
mean?
so normalised these days
know.
as well, compared to what it was before. It was just certain pockets. Or that was almost
I
like a
know.
kind of a social thing.
Definitely.
And then now it's like everybody's. It seems to be that everybody's doing it so normalised.
I hadn't heard anybody kind of talking about it like openly the way I've heard recently. Do you know what I mean? And certainly that's. I know the statutory services are absolutely obliterated with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think they know today, because there's no replacement drug. So crack's probably a good way to look at how you work, because they might come up with something in the next couple of years or whatever that is a replacement for it. But at this moment in time, they don't. And this is where you see the problems. And this is probably what we highlight in the film, is harm reduction isn't a silver bullet, because when you get a drug that you don't know nothing about that comes out and you've not got a replacement for it, what do you do? How do you reduce the harm on that? Do you know what I mean? When you don't have an naloxone pen that's going to fix somebody that overdoses, when you don't have I don't know how there's a safe way to inject crack. I mean, there must be, like, they must do it, because I know Hunter Street do it. But I don't know, as far as I'm led to believe, if you overdose on crack cocaine, then you're overdosing. It's your body's either going to fight it or no. It's not like you can get jagged with hingy.
Also, like,
I might be proven wrong with that.
Compared to opiates, like, there's no like kind of reversal.
Aye.
Right. Okay.
And not that I know it. I mean,
I've never heard anything.
I've
Obviously,
never heard anything.
naloxone's the opiate
Aye.
reversal, but I've never heard anything for like a kind of, because I wrote a post about the obviously the harm reduction kind of debacle we had, and I said injecting crack cocaine, and somebody sent me a big long message, and the first thing I wrote, firstly, you don't inject crack cocaine, it's just cocaine. And I was like, mate, see you later, you don't get a reply for that. I'm talking about.
Aye.
It's like you're starting off on a good note, not I'm talking about. It's like, what difference does it make if it's crack cocaine or cocaine?
I know, man, I know. And this is it's a class A drug for a reason, do you know what I mean? It's not, and again, we're going back, if you want to go back in history, all these drugs were all easily accessible for the chemist, do you know what I mean? Like, you would go down and you could buy cocaine, you could buy laudanum and stuff like that was like, I think that might have been like sort of like alcohol and like opium mixed together, do you know what I mean? There was loads of stuff out there like that chemists were trying and that until the drug stuff came in. They started putting statutory laws on stuff. So a lot of people would say that's right, and a lot of people would go for decrim and all that. I mean, that's a whole different conversation, but that conversation has come up as well in the Q&As. Would you go for decrim? And listen, you speak to people like James and Anne-Marie and that, and they would very much convince you that decrim's know the way forward. Me personally, I probably wouldn't go for it, because I think they know more than me, and I kind of respect their opinion. But I also go, we live in a society that legalises the worst drug out of them all. So I'm kind of conflicted with that. Do you know what I mean? Because alcohol to me is by far the worst drug that's out there. Do you know what I mean? It's the worst drug that for siphoning public money, it absolutely drains the public purse, and it's obviously like so harmful, do you know what I mean? Like, you won't die coming off of heroin or crack cocaine, do you know what I mean? But try coming off. She'll drink a bottle of vodka every night. If you try and come off that itself, you'll take a seizure and you could die quite easily. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. That's one of the most dangerous drugs of all. Although it's like, because that's legalised, does that mean we should legalise more dangerous drugs? It's like the argument is, it's like, right, we've got one dangerous drug, so let's bring in a few more. And in the bargain, it doesn't really. You know what I mean? I think one's bad enough.
So see, like, you get your people that go out and have like this is maybe something you can tell me because you probably know more than me, but this is probably a question for you. So see, you get your guys that go out and have a good weekend, right, and have a good drink, and then they're not really interested in politics and all that stuff, and they just like going to the football and with their wee family, and they've got their views on things, but they don't really voice it. They just keep it. But they go out and they can drink at the weekend, and they're pretty normal. It doesn't affect them really that badly, right? Mm-hmm. So you get these families are probably quite a lot. There's quite a lot of these people that can do that. You go out on a Saturday night in the town. I'm not saying everybody in the town on a Saturday night's not got a problem, but there's a lot of people out there. What's the difference between doing that and allowing people to have the choice of taking like a safe ecstasy tablet or a safe like 2CB tablet? I don't know, but what is the difference?
So where do you draw the line though? Does that mean in smoking areas you'll have people smoking crack? And then it's like, I don't know anybody that smokes crack recreationally or smokes heroin recreationally.
No,
although there will be people that smoke heroin recreationally, a very small percentage of people, but thinking about people that could probably take a drink but then become addicted to heroin. And it's like, what does it do to society when you open up the floodgates for these drugs? Because I feel it opens up the conversation, right? I think I try to decriminalise drugs, right? Because it creates an industry, doesn't it? Because suddenly, all right, well, is it decrim? So it's basically, all right, we're not going to prosecute you for the drugs you've got. So obviously the illegal market's still there. Does it become more in high demand? Because what happens in 10, 15, 20 years? Because if I'm growing up, right, there's a pub in every corner, there's booze in every shop, like alcohol's integrated into society. So there's a point where I'm going to eventually try it. But with drugs, they're not integrated into society. Like in a kind of a moral, for instance, they are in society, but it's that way. There's still a level of detachment. Society says no. So there's that kind of decision I need to make internally, right? Do I take this or no? And of course, growing up, and certain people will not be exposed to these type of things, but obviously growing up, running about here, it's right in your face. But then does that kind of open up the conversation, right? It's all right to take a bit of gear. Or what happens if somebody turns 16 for their 16th, they want to try a bit of smack? It's like, it's well within their right to do it, but then what conversation would we have? Would we encourage it? A lot of people would encourage, listen, if I go for a pint and have a pint, if somebody says to me, if I had a nephew went like that to me, I want to try smack, I don't think I'd be like that. Well, it's your free choice to do it. The law, according to the law, I'd be like, are you fuck? Know what I mean?
I know, and I would agree with that, right? I would agree with that, but I also, so do you think that crack and smack's got a higher addictive rating than drink?
I mean, I don't know the numbers.
Aye.
In terms of, I don't know. I'm not too sure.
I don't know either.
So drink, I think, I don't know how you would work out like that. How many people are addicted? I mean, alcohol is everywhere. Like heroin as well. I think
heroin used to be everywhere, because I think you used to go into the places, and I think it was called, like, you used to go in and it was like the Chinese used to do it, and you used to get the pipes and
opium,
and used to smoke the opium. And people used to do it when they were stressed out and that.
Aye, and like I said, that in Asia though, like alcohol's worldwide, apart from there's nowhere, even North Korea's got alcohol. I don't know. I think alcohol is in every country in the world.
Is it?
I think. I would
no,
assume.
No, I know what you mean.
Could be wrong.
I know.
I'd be happy to get proven wrong, but like, I don't know. I'd say like heroin and that is more addictive, but is there more people addicted to alcohol than there is heroin? Probably, because there's more people that consume it, and like, as I say, there's maybe like exceptions to the rule. I think most people that become addicted to heroin, they're no managing a day-to-day life. You can be addicted to alcohol and run a business. I don't see you running a business if you're a heroin addict.
I know people that can run a business taking very strong painkillers that are similar to heroin. I know pop stars that can take very strong painkillers and be very successful pop stars.
I mean, were they successful before or after they became addicted? But it's
Probably
one thing to become successful, then become addicted, but then it's like it's a mad conversation.
I know it is.
Because everybody's different, but for the most part, it's like I've never met the person that's tried.
I've never met him that's controlled crack.
Aye, I've never met him that's controlled smack either. Some people maybe tried it.
I've met a few, not a lot,
but they've controlled it. They've maintained a dose, or they've tried it and then no went back to it.
They've tried it and no went back, or they can
control?
try. Well, I know a few guys in the jail that could take. They used to call it a fly charge, right. And I used to know a few guys that could take a fly charge, and they wouldn't get addicted to it.
Right. But they own other stuff, but were they totally clean and straight, and they took a bit of brown and then went back to clean and straight, or were they own other stuff and then that was in tap it?
No, I mean the couple of people that I've got in mind. I think they could take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Again, there wasn't many, but there was also, I knew guys that used to be able to take lines of Subway and all that at the weekend and then just leave it. Like they would take a line of Subway at the weekend and then don't touch it.
Did accessibility play into that bit? Because in the jail, sometimes if it's there, it's there. If it's no, you're not going it. Don't get me wrong, Subway was probably a bit more accessible, but Brown isn't always there.
Maybe,
like,
and I've seen like people like with just like different drugs like tramadol and stuff like that, and no getting habits. Do you know what I mean? And taking trammies at the weekend, taking like codeine tablets, dehydrocodeine tablets. There was people that used to be able to take street Valium just now and again, and they were widely available. So I don't know. Like if you've not got the trauma that you're going to buy into, like if you've got the trauma that painkiller goes, oh my god, this is what I'm looking for. I think you're going to be very susceptible to addiction. But I don't know. If there was a street corner or a cafe on the street corner where you could go and, I don't know, smoke heroin or whatever at the weekend, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would need to look at the addiction ratings yet, like, or the addiction thing yet. But I don't know. I don't know, Jordan.
So say decrim happened tomorrow. Get 5 years. Do you think the country's better or worse?
Me personally, I would say worse. I think it would be worse. But I think if you look at prohibition and the way they tried to outlaw alcohol back then, you drive a dark black market, and I think we've been, I don't know, it's a hard one because it's like I know there's so many older people, right, that can go in Cocodamo for 3 months and come off it and not even feel it. So
one thing, sorry to interrupt, right, because see the thing was the conversation, right, I've never really struggled to get any type of drug. Like the fact that the drug was illegal has never been like a thing in my mind. Getting caught with it wasn't something that stopped me from carrying it. So why is, like, for instance, the only really thing this is going to change is whose pocket the money's going into. Really? Because see people that want to take gear, they'll go and get gear. People want to try brown, listen, if they're in these circles, that's how they eventually start taking it. It's like illegality has never stopped anybody from taking drugs. In my opinion, it's never stopped anybody from getting it. Like, how easy, when is the last time you heard, I don't know, I couldn't get gear. Well, sometimes you maybe get a dry up, but somebody's always got it. But you maybe have a few people like, there's a dry up, but I've got a bit, it's a bit dearer, or so-and-so has a bit. There's that many people that fucking sell it. You're never shy of somebody to get it off of. So, like, decriminalising it, what does that really change? I think it just changes that.
I don't think if I was going to do it, which I'm not, I probably agree with you. I think we need to be probably more careful with substances, but I really hate the way alcohol is portrayed as like a safe kind of.
No, is it fuck?
There's so many people with major alcohol problems, like loads that are nowhere near a service, that are nowhere near that it's really ruining their family inside the family home, but it doesn't get spoke about. It's a taboo subject. alcohol's wild, man. Like, I see people at my shop, right, or whatever, and it's every night they're in buying cans of beer.
See, that's the thing is, see when we talk about alcohol as well, look at what fucking how much of a problem it is. Yeah, it's championed, there's adverts for it in the telly. So say if we go down the route of legalisation for drugs, in 30 years' time, do you see adverts for heroin on the telly? Because what happens is it gets packaged and marketed, and suddenly it becomes attractive. So it's not just in a crack den with a bit of tinny, not smoking silver roll-ups. It's like packaged this branded thing where you can get it in tablet form, where you can get oil and all that type of stuff, and then suddenly it's integrated into your shopping list as alcohol. I know. I mean, it's like if you walk in a shop and somebody's walking out with a crate of buds, you don't blink an eye, but suddenly in 20 odd years' time, suddenly they're bringing fucking opium pills. I know. Or cocaine powder. Like it's in fucking, it's like a protein bag, know what I mean? It's like, is that the route it starts to go down? Because these things become commercialised as they get integrated into society, because right now we're just seeing it for what it is, the extreme. Because I think as accessible as drugs are now, they're not anywhere near as accessible as they will be if they were to become legalised.
So see when there was legal highs, right? There was some quite strong drugs, right? Methadone and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
It didn't create a massive. Everybody in the street was all taking methadone.
Well, it wasn't really legal that long though. I think if you get enough time, it was because that was only a short period of time that was there.
So do you think if there's a drug for everybody, if you know what I mean? And if you were to package it, somebody would try it, if that makes sense. There's a drug for everybody that somebody would get addicted to, if you do know what I'm talking about.
Well, if you look at the likes, I know it's a bit different. Look at vapes, right? Look at the amount of people that smoke fags, right? How many people don't smoke because they hate the taste of it, they hate the smell of it? Vapes changed all that. Look at how many people you see vape now. I've got pals that don't smoke fags, but they'll take a vape because it's taken away that it tastes rotten, your clays are smelling. It's taken away that, and now it's made it attractive. It's packet bubblegum flavour. All this stuff, it's colourful. Know what I mean? Think about people that are doing that. Now, that's just on a very low scale, but nicotine's a drug.
Of course.
It's been packaged and marketed.
I know what you mean. And it's a fascinating conversation, right? And but I would agree with you. I think it's a dangerous, slippery slope. But I must admit, man, I really can't get behind why we've got such a ping on alcohol. When
no, definitely.
I think take crack, do this then, right? Take crack and smack out the equation,
right?
And you could get a pure form, a safe form of all the rest of the drugs, because the rest of the drugs are mainly safe. Right, on if taken in recreational purposes, right? Take smack and crack out it. Would you put all them on the market before alcohol?
Well, if we're going to say if a safe form of the drug,
so a safe form, you could go to a rave and buy a real Eckie.
So what is the safe part of it? It's like it's the purest form you can get of that drug. Because I would make the argument then. Would you not say alcohol's pretty safe? It's just how people consume it. That's when it becomes damaging.
But it would be like, so you would probably get, I would imagine, like the purity would be like this ecstasy's got 5% pure MDMA in it, or
so making it
10% pure MDMA. Like the way the alcohol is, like you can go and buy a bottle of absinthe if you want, that's like 70-80%, or you can buy a bottle of moonshine, which is fucking, I don't even know what percent that is.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? You can go and buy, you can seek this alcohol out that if you drank a bottle it'd kill you, so indeed.
Right.
You can buy that and get it imported from America, or you can go and buy a bottle of Aftershock. It's 50-60%. I don't know what that is. So I think if there would be an argument there that people would say you could get a safe consumption, a safe rate of what an ecstasy is.
A recommended
amount, but that doesn't mean that somebody's not going to go and buy 5 of them. Do you know what I mean?
Put it this way, there's a recommended amount of coffee. I don't know what it is because I've never stuck to it. It's, for instance, like if you were to get like in a motor with the missus, she's driving at the speed limit, would you say you feel pretty safe in that situation? Right, what if you jumped in a motor with me and I'm driving 100 mile an hour on a 30?
I've got a couple of pals that I'm like...
Do you feel safe?
No, I don't.
Exactly, so it's like, but the mode of transport doesn't change, it's just how It's like how it's been applied in a certain situation. It's out with the environment. It's the environment, the situation, the circumstance, and the delivery method. So we can say all these drugs will be safe, but if you gub 5 of them, which most people do, I've gubbed 5 eckies in one night or sniffed more than enough gear. What's a safe amount of gear? I don't know. It's like a recommended amount one line. Like, who's see if I was to go, right, a gram of coke. Let's say the recommended safe amount of that would be like, say if it was a gram, let's just go 1 gram, 1 full gram, and say a 0.2 of that is the recommended safe amount. How many people do you think would be able to take 0.2 of a gram and then put it in their pocket and not take any more?
No, mate. But how many keep to the safe amount of drink?
No many.
Do you know
but
what I
that's
mean?
saying it's having a safe version of that drug doesn't make it safe, is what I'm saying.
I just think like outlawing cannabis is insane when you've got drunk. And that's only my opinion, but outlawing cannabis when you've got alcohol there free.
I get it. I get your point.
That's mental to me. MDMA, real MDMA, like having that outlawed, like is mental to me. Do you know what I mean? Like when you've got the alcohol there, a crack and smack, different beasts. Do you know what I mean? As you say, I don't know many people. I've met 1 or 2 people in my life who told me they can control it. They might not have been, but I certainly looked at that they were.
Aye.
Crack, I don't think I've met anybody. Well, that's a lie, I know, because I knew boys back in the day, years ago, that used to take the odd pipe, and they wouldn't do it all the time. So, but they were sniffing coke. Do you know what I mean? And at the weekend, but they would take the odd pipe now and again. Probably people that people wouldn't think. Do you know what I mean? But I knew that went on. So there was, I like I'm with you, like this is what our film explores it, but it's a big topic, and there's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions. You get people that will go, listen, I should be able to fucking take what I want to take. It's my body. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of have to go, well, if you're selling alcohol, then you know the damage that's fucking doing. So I don't know.
No, no, definitely. I don't think there's a straight answer.
Do you outlaw alcohol? Because then how many people, do you know what I mean? So we've already tried that. Prohibition never worked. Do you know what I mean? I think they tried that very hard. Do you know what I mean? It fucking created organised crime as we know it. So I don't know. I think these are the questions that need to be discussed, but I think this is a taboo subject people don't really want to go into. People don't really like the idea of talking about these things because it's uncomfortable. But I would certainly say, if I had to choose, I would say, like, no, I don't think that we should be decrim on, or I don't think we should be legalising it. But I can understand why people would say, well, why have you got alcohol there then if you can't do it? But I can understand that argument.
I know, definitely. But the fact of the matter remains, regardless whether it gets decriminalised or no, the same people that are taking it are still going to be taking it. There's nobody say, I can't get away.
Big pharma and that would just end up with it all. Do you know what I mean?
People are taking it anyway. People that take Charlie are taking Charlie. There's nobody, obviously, if they get caught with it, they get prosecuted, but they're still able, the accessibility's still there.
I know.
So it's not as if anybody's like, prohibition was like, you can't get this, and then obviously opened up for like Al Capone to kind of bring in like bootlegging.
I know.
So it created that industry, but the industry's already flourishing right there. So I think it just changes what money goes into what pockets. But Anne-Marie says, like in certain countries that have done decrim, that's caused, I like saying like California and that, there's still a black market for weed because of course there's inflated prices for the legalised stuff because they're obviously taxing it.
And then you've got that Star Dog and all that, and people want all that kind of shit. Like heavy shit.
It's sprayed, you know what I mean?
Aye.
But it's a long and diverse topic, you know what I mean? So, but I think it's, listen, the world might go that way, you never know.
I would hate to see it because it's the youth that you get I always fear for the youth, and I don't think it's fair. I'm torn because there's some drugs that I don't get why they're illegal, but that's me being biased on my opinion. Do you know what I mean? And going, why you outlawing cannabis, but you won't outlaw that? Do you know what I mean? I would rather the outlawed drink and brought in a cannabis market.
I know, I get you.
Do you know what I mean? And everybody could go and smoke in pubs and that, get a joint in it. I think that would be better for people. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think that was Snoop Dogg I heard saying, like, you can sit in a room with 20 Crips, man, smoking joints, and there'll be no fucking violence. Like, they'll all just be sitting, hanging along to the tunes and that. He says, but if they same 20 people, I can assure you, see if you gave them a bottle of vodka each, it'd be absolute carnage.
Aye. But I think weed can go, because you look at all these cunts down in England, all these drill rappers and that, and they're all talking about shooting this cunt, stabbing that cunt, and every one of them have got a joint in with.
I know.
And I'm not trying to stereotype here, but that just seems to be the recurring theme. I'm like, it can't be that common if you're all nutters, but if last people and you're all mad heavy weed smokers. I think, like, if you're a traumatised individual and you smoke weed, I don't think it's going to be a remedy.
Aye.
Essentially, I think it's got depending. There's some people that, like, when I was smoking, it made me more angry. Maybe if I didn't have it, or just bringing up stuff of the past. Aye. I would ruminate in certain things. It would, and with smoking a lot of weed, I'd feel a lot of shame and regret and remorse or daft stuff. It wasn't good for my self-esteem. And coming off it, it was like I'd dwell on stuff that didn't, something I said in primary 3. And all that, and be pure like that, and be ashamed and cringe and embarrassed and all that stuff. But there's some people that smoke it, you can take it or leave it. I wasn't one of the people.
I know.
Know what I'm talking about? So, listen, I've obviously got a kind of biased viewpoint and things, but I know I'm not the only person that's going to have that reaction.
I think, I think, like, as I say, is when you do listen to, like, yourself and James and Anne-Marie and people in Karen McCluskey and people like that, I would take their view over anybody's. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really respect you guys' opinion. So I'm only saying like for talking's sake, like for like this is the argument that's made, and that I understand the argument people make. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't make it right, but this is the beauty of the Q&As. I think is these things come up. And it's like, where is it you draw the line, and where is it you do, and it's hard questions, and it puts you on the spot that you need to kind of have an answer for somebody. Do you know what I mean? And we've been lucky, like we've had some great questions, but we've been able to answer them all. And even if you don't, somebody maybe in the audience or whatever will try and answer it. Do you know what I mean? So, but I think that's the beauty and the magic of having these Q&As. It's like, this is because I've only started saying this the last couple of times, is doesn't matter where you're coming from, if you're coming from like what background, if you work in that field, if you work in harm reduction and you maybe don't agree with some harm reduction policies, or if you work in like and you go to the AA but you don't agree with some of the AA stuff, do you know what I mean, or you work with it, like whatever, it's an open space. Let's talk about it, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Healthily. Let's talk about it and put everything on the board and go, what's the best remedy here for us? And again, I always go back to just where you would blueprint stuff, and you would go like, in an ideal world, you would have everybody not taking it in. Do you know what I mean? That would be, you would get the best version of everybody. Do you know what I mean? Is that going to happen? Probably not, because there's too much money getting made off of the taxes of tobacco and drink.
Aye. You can't take away the supply, you can take away the demand, but
aye.
And I think as well, it's like, for instance, how many working class people do you think have got access to drugs? Pretty much all of them, if you've got the money. Mm-hmm. And you don't really need that much money because you get tick. How many working class people have access to rehab if they need it?
I know.
So
this is the poor thing.
Yeah,
I know.
that's the thing. It's like, I could fucking walk down the street and get about 5 dealers coming across me. Try to get into a rehab, man, is a totally different conversation.
Definitely. And I think that's the big thing. I think that's where we need to be. That's certainly where our film points to, is where is this rehabilitation? Where is the help? Where is the kind of... Because essentially I think people are robbed when they're in addiction of... They're robbed of, I'm going to steal James's words here, relational wealth, and they're robbed of connection. We're human beings, we're wired for connection, and when you're in addiction, you become connected to a substance. you don't become connected to the people, you become connected to that substance. That substance is primary, and if you become addicted, unfortunately, it will become your primary focus. And when it becomes your primary focus, it'll overpower anything. It'll overpower the love of your kids, as James and that says as well. Do you know what I mean? I've heard loads of people saying that. It becomes, your kids become a problem that are in the way of the addiction.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is very, very sad. So there needs to be access to rehab. There needs to be access where people go, I'm fucked and I'm really making bad choices here. It's affecting my family and I need help. And we can go, right, this is where you go to Castle Craig, which is, again, a crazy stat that we found out during the Q&A.
That's probably one of the maddest things I found out during the Q&A. Of course, it's funded by the Dutch government.
Right, 90%.
And where is it?
Holland.
No, where is the Castle Craig? It's in Scotland.
Aye, it's in Scotland, but I just know it's beautiful. If you look it up, it's an absolutely stunning grounds and stuff like that. I know that it's a beautiful place, but I think that's too expensive now, even for people who are lucky enough to get rehab. It's too expensive, so you can't get into Castle Craig now. But anybody that I know that spoke about Castle Craig or went to Castle Craig seems to have stuck to it. Seems to have be flourishing. Do you know what I mean? So I think that speaks volumes. But the fact that the Dutch government are sending over their residents to Scotland to get better, but we can't do it for our own people, is outrageous.
Yeah, and see, I've just went onto their website there. So, what mode of rehabilitation do you practice? This is on Castle Craig's website, and we practice a 12-step addiction treatment program with evidence-based therapies and medically managed detoxification, which is supported by therapeutic Q&A and intervention. So it's essentially recovery in the 12-step.
So is that a 12-step program? So mate,
it says 80% of our therapy team have lived experience or in recovery themselves.
Is it?
Aye, that's what it says on its website.
So do you think there's a possibility that the Castle Craig doesn't get used because it's no harm reduction?
Maybe. Might be a possibility. It does say it in the bottom. Treatment is funded through a number of pathways, including private funding, medical insurance, NHS, Change Grow Live, ISOS International and NHS practitioners. And it doesn't actually say how much. You must need to get a consultation, because they say they've got an on-call doctor.
Let's get the phones out. Let's rock
that. Is it pre-rehab support call provider? So it doesn't provide.
Right,
wait a minute, I think this is the actual website. So I'm actually looking at. So it's what it's showing me is that it serves the people of London. It says it's improvement to Scotland, testament on medical team. So
I'll just write how much it costs for 6 months rehab in Castle Craig, right?
I did see in Google and see.
I think that
it did say on Google that Castle Craig private drug and alcohol rehab serving in London. So I don't know if that's the same one, but
surely it's not London that they've got it as well. Because London, it's funny.
It's in the Borders, 40 minutes drive for Edinburgh, 1 hour for Glasgow and 2 hours for Newcastle. So
it's a good area then, isn't it?
So what it says is, how much does the Castle Craig rehab cost? Private inpatient addiction rehab costs, it says in London. I don't know why it keeps saying.
So do you want me to tell? I've kind of got it up here, right?
Go for that.
So estimated cost breakdown. Daily rates £650 to £1,500 a day.
Yeah, that's what I've got here.
Varying by room type and programme intensity. Shared room around £557 to £650 a day. Private room £790 to £1,000 a day. Executive luxury room £1,042 to £1,500 a day. Monthly equivalent of 18 to 40 grand per month.
Yeah, that's what it says here. So, but it says how much does inpatient addiction rehab cost in London? But the address is for Castle Craig in Scotland, which is confusing. But it does say it translates to approximately 18 grand to 40 grand plus for a 28 or 30 day stay. So say 18 to 40 grand for a month. Yeah, what is it to hold somebody in jail for a year? It's 40 odd grand.
Yeah.
You look at the difference in that.
I know.
It's crazy money. But the thing is as well, it's like if you put somebody into rehab for a month and they come back out and don't go back into addiction as such. Look at James, obviously. I don't want to, maybe I'll cut that bit out. Sorry, I'll take that. But I know people that have been in Castle Craig.
I know people who have recently. I know people who have fucked their rehab, and they won't look at it again for at least 6 months. So if you kind of come out,
rehab won't look at it.
Aye. So say I know somebody who went into rehab, fucked it, came back out, then tried to reapply, realised they'd made a mistake, wanted to go back. The statutory services were not willing to look at it
Right.
for 6 months.
Right, okay. I mean,
But they had just paid 40 odd grand. It was a good rehab. I think it was.
There's a party that kind of goes right. I can kind of see that because it might be taking the space away for somebody. Because if somebody comes out and realises, I understand the disease addiction, but if somebody on paper goes into a rehab, gets it funded, because the process, the arduous process of actually getting into a rehab, but they get it funded, they come back out, relapse pretty quickly. You're going to be looking at that like, right, there's Eddie, Jim and Stevie here.
I know.
And Jim's just went into rehab, came back out, relapsed quite quickly. I've got these two waiting in rehab. Do we put him in again that's just had the opportunity, or do we get to somebody that's not had the opportunity? I can kind of see that, but then why is the barrier for entry so high? Why does it need to be 1 or 2? You know how hard it is to get somebody into rehab. Why is it so hard where it has to be? I can understand money's a massive factor.
But see, if you're talking about prisons, right, could you send somebody to prison rehab?
Definitely.
Like, what's the difference?
I know.
Like, so if you fuck it, then it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so if you get 3 years, you go to rehab for 3 years. Like, whether you like it or no.
Aye.
Now, within that 3 year, I think the chance of the penny dropping is quite high.
Aye.
You know what I mean? In that therapeutic environment, I think the chances. What's the chances of the penny dropping in a hall in Addiewell?
Definitely never.
Do you know what I mean?
Especially if you go into like Addiewell, it's like people struggle trying to get cleans. I remember for Berlin, and like, you go into the exercise yard and everybody's all chasing. They're doing the gym chasing. The minute their doors are open, they're chasing. You're surrounded by that. If you're wrapped up in addiction, man, it's very hard to get away from that. Definitely.
It's one of the things where I mean, you could go on about it all day. We could talk about it all day, but I think if it was me, I would have like a therapeutic community in the prisons where people are kind of a special unit type place with yoga and spend money on them. Spend money, because I think what people need to realise is the money that it's costing the taxpayer to put people in prison is astronomical. I think people need to see the size of that budget that's going in. Now, see if you took that budget. Well, look at. I mean, we were talking about it the other day, right? How the fuck can you be £900 million over budget for a jail, right? And you take £900 million, right, and go, what can we do with £900 million in a rehabilitative setting? How many rehabs could you set up for £900 million?
You could rebuild the country on that. Maybe a bit of a stretch, but
you could certainly rebuild fucking a massive part of like the country. Do you know what I mean? Like £1 billion would go a long, long way in so many communities. So it's mad how they can do that when they need it.
I know. Where's that money coming from?
Because
it's suddenly, do you not think that money kind of, the sound, it just loses value? It's like £1 billion. You think if somebody was to give you £1 billion, right, if you put £1 billion into government right now, it would turn into Dubai.
I know.
Like the government version of Dubai. Like if somebody gave you £1 billion, that would serve your family for fucking generations to come.
Totally.
But this is just getting spent on a postcode. That's it.
And if they started even putting the building up, mate.
I don't know. I know they've put they've started the foundations. I know this for all these drone audit cunts go up and start flying the drones about. It's something you can kind of, when you pass it in the motorway, if you're not driving, you can kind of see it's a bit dangerous if you're driving to have a glance. But if somebody was to give you £1 billion to fix something in Scotland, what would it be?
First thing I would do is I would go to Scandinavia and just say, look, what is it you're doing? I would also try and look as much as I could at the special unit. Again, I would go like, how do we implement this? I'd get the clever people that I believe could implement this into a bigger scale, because it only works in small scales. But 40 isn't a small scale. It's not like 40 is a hall. Like you could have 40 in a hall, so each hall could be like a separate prison. Do you know what I mean? They don't need it. It's all about saving money. It's all about how many screws, like 2 screws to a hall of 80. Like, do you know what I mean? It's got worse over the years. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you could, that's what I would, £1 billion, I would be like certainly bringing in some very, very good people. I'd be bringing in project managers. I'd be bringing in like accountants and stuff like that, clever accountants to see how's the best way to spend the money. So I would have a kind of tap down right through. I would have people working at every level, do you know what I mean, to implement this kind of special unit process into the prison. Because if it works for the people we know it worked for, Jimmy Boyle and like Johnny and that, like they were fucking mental. Do you know what I mean? Like really, they were like, there's no other word to say it. They were mental. When you watch their films, it was fucking nuts. Jimmy Boyle was jumping about with kitchen knives and a digger, like trying to hang his hostage. Johnny they couldn't keep him trapped in anywhere. But these people were healed to a certain degree. I mean, I'm not saying that they've got their scars. Do you know what I mean? But they were humanised, and now they're out, they're flourishing. They're gentlemen. They've got families. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think what as well, because like I think like your Johnny Boy Steels and Jimmy Boyles, they were carrying out some form of addiction, or they were trying. They were getting it. It was almost like a drug. It was an escape.
Definitely.
Johnny Boyles was literally trying to escape. I think Jimmy Boyles was violence, because that is an addiction as well. And I think now the problem in the prison system, it is medicated. People on some form of a drug or another. So I think that a modern day's equivalent to the special unit would be something that's in a rehabilitative setting, and more than just like a rehabilitation for offending, it's rehabilitation for some form of substance.
Aye, definitely. I think that's because we say that, like, well, I certainly see it in the documentary, like drugs run the prison. Do you know what I mean? And I'll stand by that. Like, most of the things I seen, or nearly, I mean, most of the violent things I seen were over drugs. They play a huge part in the daily running of the prison. And as you say, as you've said before, I know, like, I mean, obviously, just over the years, like, you get to kind of, you meet people, you meet prison officers and stuff like that. I'm not going to name names, but you meet prison officers and stuff like that, and they'll tell you, like, I wish I would go back to the smack days any day. Like, it's fucking nuts in there.
They're no shy in saying it either.
No, and they would probably say it if you asked them. So, and I think the whole thing is if you probably got the police and all, they would probably be telling you as well. Like, we wish it wasn't like the way it is the new either. Like, it must be hard for them, like, to police this. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. To me, they just seem to be making the problem worse. Like, I don't know where they're going with it. Like, it's like Anne-Marie was saying, I heard Anne-Marie talking, I think, the other week, and she was saying, how much money have we flung at this? When is it you just go, like, this isn't working, it's not working, we're going to need to change it a bit. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if me and you started a fucking podcast studio, right, and, like, there was nobody coming, but I just kept saying, no, we need more money. Like, we need more money in it. And then you're like, right, okay, right, I've took a loan out for $5,000, right, and then still nobody came, and I was like, right, get another $5,000 loan, I'll get another $5,000 loan, and you'd be kind of like, no.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not doing that anymore.
Like any type of business, if somebody's like just throwing money into something that's not producing results, you'd be like, hold on, where is this going?
Definitely.
You're either robbing me or this isn't working, and if it's not working, we need to kind of put a break on it. And listen, it's easier said than done. You can't just be like, right, put a break on it and suddenly change direction. But I think for what we're seeing is they're quite content going in this direction. They've set out for themselves. There's no talk or no ambition or anything. Don't get me wrong, Mick Stoney talks about HMP Glasgow. See if he's able to action what he's saying, it seems quite positive. And I say to people, listen, if it's £1 billion that produces results, then we can see that as a viable investment. But the thing is, and I think you're in the same boat as me, we just don't trust it.
No.
We've heard this story before. This is going to be the new thing, and when it opens, it's just another jail.
No. I think that's unfortunately the kind of status quo in these things. Is like you know what's coming, and then you know, it's a shame because it's I don't know, like I just think £1 billion in the hands of the right people could have been like, I don't know what you could have done with £1 billion, you know what I mean? But I don't think you need a new jail. Like I've told people, I've said this to people before, if you bought the Hilton tomorrow and you just shoved everything in the Hilton, I can guarantee you would end up shit. There would be mentions on the walls eventually, the place would get run down, the place would be fucked after maybe a couple of years. It doesn't matter about environment, you're taking people that are damaged and chaotic for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we've said about it before, the symptom, that is the symptom. The symptom's taking the drink or the drug. It cures whatever they had for that small period of time, that tiny, before it spirals out of control, that tiny, they've got a break. And that's what they're looking for, is they're looking for that pain to go away for just 2 seconds. So they're willing to do it for that. They're willing to blow their whole life for that 2 seconds of, like, kind of, whatever it is, contentment, or if that's even a word. Do you know what I'm talking about? Relief. So it's relief. Do you know what I mean? Pain relief. Definitely, Jordan. I don't know. I mean, these are the debates that need to be happening, and they're no.
Aye.
That's the problem. This is the debates that need to be happening, and they're no. You don't see fucking John Swinney and that talking about like this in the House of Commons. But what you do is you'll meet politicians in the back row of places, and they want these conversations, but they're not happening. They don't have
it publicly. They'll maybe say offhand or like away in like a kind of hush corner with yourself. Maybe if you get a one-on-one conversation, they'll maybe hint at it, but you'll never get them on record saying it.
No.
It goes back to that. I think it's not a vote winner. It's not a popularity contest.
1,000,000%. And that's the sad thing about it is it's a popularity contest, and it's like you've got a media that are driving and going, I can jump on that popularity contest as well and demonise this even more. So what you end up with is this popularity contest with an echo chamber of the mainstream media, like that people then regard, because you're only as clever or you're only as knowledgeable as what you take in, and it's how you process that. Mm-hmm. If I tell you, I don't know, and if I say to you, I think you're going to fuck up Jordan in the next year, right? And you process that, right? If you said, Sean, you're going to fuck up in the next year to me, I'll process it differently for you.
No.
Both of us will process it differently. Mm-hmm. So no, everybody's the same. Do you know what I mean? And I think I don't know. It really is. I just think these need to be happening more. These debates need to be happening more. They need to be out there. They need to be in loads of different arenas. We need to be talking about it, and stop waiting till it comes to you. Stop waiting till it comes to your front door, and then go, fuck, this is a problem.
Aye. What do you think is the number one thing politicians need to know? Or the number one things, the few things they need to know, the most important things. I think.
I mean, I know that's a really good question as well, but I think the I don't know, the politicians probably. If I was a justice minister, I would be going into jails and I would be spending I would genuinely do a week in the jail just to see what it's like, just to get the feel for it, just to see what it's like. If I was the health minister, I'd be going into hospitals for a week, maybe acting like a nurse to see what it is to be. I don't think you can do these things without knowing the reality yet. Do you know what I mean? And when if you've got a business and I'm your right hand man, and that you take my word, you trust me, and I've got people below me who aren't doing the job that well, but I'm telling you they are. I'm saying to you, no, don't worry about it, Jordan, it's cool, man, everything's good, like, it's good. But I'm doing shady things to these people to make sure that it is working. You don't know about that. So you can only go on what you're getting told, and I think that's where the politicians go wrong. I think the politicians are relying on people who want to be relevant to them, want to be useful to them, want to be hangy, so they tell them what they want to hear. Do you know what I mean? Either I don't believe, I very much believe like there's a very, very dark fucking force that kind of guides humanity, and I think we're going into a dark place at this moment in time. But that aside, I don't think every politician's a bad I don't think every politician's a fucking like in the Bilderberg group with Davos, and do you know what I mean? Like I don't believe that at all. It's a very select few. So I don't. I think politicians are only as good as what they know, and I think if what they're getting told, I don't know. I think you can only be as good as what you're told. So I think the most important thing is information and knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. I think you need to see these things firsthand and experience them. It's like one thing, because it goes back to that thing we're talking about, the woman in Adderall. It's like politicians can say, oh, we visited HMP Berlin, or we came down to govern the day as a visitor.
I know.
You get shown a glimpse. So here's what we've got here to show you, and see you later.
I know.
You're not living here. And don't get me wrong, it's like, so what happens? Do we need to put a politician in a house for out to get? But it's like, no, but I think what there needs to be a lot
but they
more
would be
of a
shocked
bridge.
to the core. If you genuinely sat the fucking drugs minister in a fucking crack den for a day, they'd be shocked.
Aye, take them in with the cameras and the security and that. Send them in with, they can have their assistant.
They'd
put them
be
in.
shocked.
They'd really fucking get in within 10 mile.
They'd be shocked. They'd come out greeting. They would. And then especially if they were saying to him, why are you doing this to yourself? And they were hearing the stories and all that. They would be absolutely broken walking out of that place. That's the reality of it. So what they do is they hide, and people don't like uncomfortable truths, and that's unfortunately why we're in the position we're in with like this fucked up world now, as a whole. And drugs are a massive part of that in society. They're a bigger part of how much money is getting siphoned for this. And we often say, I'll ask you this question, Jordan, do you, because this is a question that we get asked every time, I think, do you think they want to change it?
No.
And what would be a reason for that?
So I think, is it an intentional thing they don't want to change it? I think a lot of them, it goes back to that choice thing. If we were looking at addiction, right, I think it's the choice thing. If people are choosing to do that to themselves, then how can we help them? Just stop doing it. And then the education comes into it, and understanding, right, people are like they're acting out with their control. You know what I mean? There's a compulsion there, and obviously the theoretical side I've learned about addiction talks about compulsions, it talks about allergies and stuff like that. But I had to learn that in order to understand it. I think a class thing as well. I think people, like, especially because no very many working class people go into politics. It's not a kind of a career choice that's put before you. It's usually, like, for me, like being a working class guy is generally manual labour. You know what I mean? Unless like your dad or whatever, or somebody in your family is encouraging you to go down another route, you usually kind of follow, like, this is the kind of status quo here. So you don't often find many people coming for these kind of like places like government that, and they want to get into politics, right? So there is that kind of disconnect where people that are already kind of born into these families, where, and I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, but for quite a lot of them, there is a dynasty in places such, and it's a kind of path set out before you, and like your dad, your family's got connections as such, and you're brought up with a certain way, like these people choose to live like this, and they don't realise it's kind of systemic. And listen, we can all go down, people choose to take a drug, but the argument we make is who chooses to become addicted, who chooses to be on the street begging or sitting in a crack den, who would choose that as their life. So I think it's learning, especially we're talking about like drugs and addiction, is choice, is learning the choice aspect of it, and learning there isn't a choice in it. And then as well, it's like an unpopular politician. There's a popular politician in the polls, but there's a popular politician in the parliament. You know what I mean? And it serves people to be popular amongst their peers. because if you're unpopular amongst your peers because you are pushing for changes that's going to put a lot of noses out of joint, I don't think you last.
No.
You know what I mean? Because I think they've got the power to shun you out.
Aye.
And so, and maybe in Scotland probably plays a part, definitely in England. A lot of these people, they control the media. They've got a lot of friends in the media, so if they want to kind of get your public image tainted, then it's very easily done. If you're not singing for their hymn sheet, on top of it. And I think people can make the points and champion for reforms, but if they actually try and get the wheels in motion and they make enough of they kick up enough of a storm, you know what I mean, it can be very problematic for them. And it's like, think of like the prison system, how many members of staff will say to you, I know it's a joke what's happening in here, but they'll not fucking champion it because it's their job. They need to feed their family. It's self-preservation. Like, right, this guy's in here for so many years. He's going to be gone. I'll never see him again. We're not for the same area. We're not interested in the same things. But I need to come here every day. Or every day I'm working. This pays my rent. It pays my wains. Food on the table. It pays for everything. I can't lose that. Otherwise, I lose my sense of security. So it becomes very complex. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I get it.
I think. I mean, how many staff do you think drink heavily?
A lot.
How many
I've seen staff come in mad with it.
do you think take coke
But
at the weekends? Like young ones and stuff, do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is all stuff that's common knowledge. Social workers and that, do you know what I mean? Like taking coke and stuff like that. No, again, know them all, but some of them, lawyers as well, it's kind of a kind of running joke between lawyers, like that kind of thing where the amount of coke that they take.
I've heard the lawyers phone a sleeping coat and all that because they've been on a bender.
And this is when the justice system has got a big thing to play in it. And I know you were wanting to go into that, but I think where do we go? I don't know. Like when you've got the justice system operating on that punitive model, again, they're only going to, they can only enforce the laws that's put in front of them. Do you know what I mean? So if they enforce those laws, and those laws are punitive, then again they can only do what they're told. So it's not until society changes their opinion, the politicians won't.
No.
And then until the politicians won't, the judges won't.
Yep.
So it's like a kind of domino effect. Do you know what I mean?
And it'll take a lot of time for the dominoes to fall.
If they fall.
If they fall. You're right, mate. You're right. So, mate, see, bonus, if we could wrap that up here now.
Aye.
That, and then I just ask, where do you want to go next with this? Like, of course, more screenings, kind of, want to turn this into an educational body of work. What's your kind of hopes and aspirations?
I love going into colleges and I love going into unis, and I think obviously like the work we've done in the colleges and unis has been kind of like obviously it's been like, I mean you could sit and do all that, put out all the kind of like the comments that we get and the feedback we get. We don't do that, do you know what I mean? But we could, in every single place has said it's been amazing. The students have got so much out of it. You know yourselves, you'll get some poor wee students that you maybe think weren't taking it in, they come up at the end and go, like, my dad's like an addict or my brother or whatever, do you know what I mean? And you're like, and it can be a bit heart-wrenching, but you're opening the eyes up and allowing them to go and maybe go, do you know what, there is help out there, there's family services out there, there's like Bernardo's for young people, do you know what I mean? So these services become visible. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes these services are invisible, especially with people that maybe don't know anything about recovery and don't know anything about, or maybe living a lie in the house, just living this lie. So I think that it makes everything more visible. It brings everything to the front. So just again, more screenings, more hanging, and then I'd absolutely love to, like maybe, I don't know, this time next year or whenever the time may be that the kind of we're not wanted in the colleges and in the universities anymore, is have like a kind of bigger event in Glasgow where we've got everybody from the film on the panel and everybody like make a night of it, maybe even, do you know what I mean? I would love that. I think
that's definitely on the itinerary. And definitely more screenings, because it gives a lot of people a voice and an opportunity to be heard, where people like that are not used to being heard or having a voice or having that arena to kind of voice their experience and opinions in, man. So I think that's my favourite bit, I know, is the Q&A, and allow me to continue.
Just sorry for butting it, but I think anybody that does watch this and is interested in this screening, it's certainly worth coming and asking us about, because what I've had a lot of students who have maybe going to pitch it, do you know what I mean? Because obviously students in the university, you do have that kind of pool where you can pitch stuff to your lecturers and stuff. And listen, you're only visible again if you're brought up. So if you think this would benefit your establishment, I'd love to do one. I'd love to do one with the jails and that as well. I would like to do the jails, but maybe no way with the cons and that, like, because I don't want to go up there as if like, oh, look at us, like we know what we're talking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When people, I know they've got to go back to the halls, it doesn't really sit right with me.
Right.
So I don't know. It depends again on the audience. Do you know what I mean? See if it's maybe an audience that's already in recovery, it's seeking recovery.
Yeah.
That's different, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Then you're giving them a place to speak safely. The police and stuff like that. I don't know why. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, why? What's up? Like all these kind of things. Do you know what I mean? Like, so again, listen. We can only say what I've wrote to the government. I've wrote to the government. I've asked them for like help with maybe funding this, or how do we get this out? No heard anything back yet. Hopefully I will. We'll chase that up. I mean, we've reached out to a few places. Also for private companies, and I mean, essentially this is pitching it to people. Do you know what I mean? But it's hard to go and email every single person. But if you've got a private company where you've got a lot of young people working in it, I think it's very good to get people talking about that as well. And again, that's where it is. Is it worth having that knowledge and having that in the young workforce? There's no doubt that sitting watching what drugs can do to you and stuff like that is priceless knowledge. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's sorry, I kind of butted in on you there, but I think it should. I think everybody should kind of open these debates up, and I think if we're the kind of mechanism for that, then mate, I'd love that.
Definitely. I think it is, and it should continue to be an effective mechanism in education. And of course, as you say, anybody that's wanting that in their institution, in their college, wherever, the workplace, that was a message. But I'm going to finish it up. Really good chat. Really enjoyed that.
Definitely.
But I do that shameless self-promotion to the camera.
Anybody that doesn't follow Social Sessions, please do. It's my podcast that's on YouTube as well, and anybody that does want to follow me on Facebook and stuff like that, and hear all about what I think of politics and stuff like that, and get some of my posts on there. It's Sean Toal. You can find me on TikTok as well, Shinaldo007, and on Twitter it's @SocialSessions6. So thanks for that, Jordan. Thank you very much for
Pleasure
that
as always, mate.
Shameless kind of promotion.
Aye, that's exactly it, man. But tune in again next time, people. Like, subscribe, and don't get wide. Catches.